How's it going, guys? We've got another episode of HLTV confirmed to discuss all of what's been going on within the Counter-Strike scene from top to bottom. As joining me, as always, is going to be Professor Striker and Mr. Chad Sponge Birchill. How are you doing, guys?
I haven't showered. I got a sore back. I have a toothache. I'm packing last minute right now. The apartment's a fucking mess, but let's do it.
And you still made it on the show. That's impressive. Striker, Prof, how are you guys?
Yeah, pretty good. Like I'm actually,
Compared to this guy over
days.
here, doing great. You didn't shower in 2 days?
No, I mean, I have 2 days left to travel, as opposed to Sponge who's traveling tomorrow, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so I'm only going to Poland on Tuesday, so I have an extra day.
Ain't you lucky, Striker? You're just trying to rub it into Sponge that little bit more. All right, let's.
I mean, we're both gonna stay there for like 3 weeks anyway, so like a day extra here or there doesn't really matter, does
a
it?
day extra at home is very important. Ask Sponge about that. He would have loved to have that.
Well, okay, in the middle maybe, not at the start. It doesn't really matter.
I wrote something to one of my friends, and it
Oh,
said,
God.
"Home is my vacation from real life." That's all I wrote.
I mean, a bit of an insight into your life, I guess.
Okay.
Chad's gone hipster and old school on us with the hat and the Vox shirt in there as well. But let's get into some breaking news, guys. Let's start things off as we mean to continue. And I think the first one we want to start with, right, is some of the ECS changes that have come off here from the guys at FACEIT and how they want to be changing things up. Now, both ESL and FACEIT have been making changes across to their kind of how their season works, and we're getting information out there. But I guess, Striker, I'm going to start with you, as you are the man of the moment. What are you making these changes? I don't know, because you always comment on when it comes down to everything to do with the online season and stuff like that. So,
well, yeah, that's true. I mean, this is obviously a big improvement for the people that don't really know how it's going to work in ECS, who haven't really seen the news. It's going to be basically like 5 tournaments. I'm just going to try to break it down a little bit, but like I have problems explaining the whole thing or remembering the whole thing. But it's supposed to be 5 online tournaments as opposed to like the offline thing that ESL came up with Pro League. And basically, the winners of the first 3 tournaments in each region will go directly to the finals, and then like whoever earns the most prize money outside of those 3 teams who already qualified will be the 4th one from each region. So it's going to be 4 teams from each region again. So this is obviously going to remove a lot of online games for a lot of these top teams. And by the way, like these top teams actually don't really have to play all the tournaments. If they qualify, they can just choose not to play any of the rest. And they probably will. We probably expect that to happen. And so they're just filling in the rest of the spots of those tournaments with like the challenger teams. So it's just going to change up a lot of like, and from week to week, it's probably going to change a lot in which teams are going to be available, because they can also choose whether they want to attend a certain tournament based on their schedule and stuff like that. So it's just going to help teams. Obviously, it's just going to help them with their schedule, because the online schedule is something that we always criticized a lot.
on. we can continue what we're talking about. Sorry about that, guys. We just technical issues. It happens. Blame Lucas. Hashtag.
Lucas is fired, so
Yep.
getting a
Lucas
new
is
producer
gone.
for next episode.
What I was about to say was I think it's obviously going to remove a lot of tier 1 teams from having to play in online tournaments, which is fantastic. I think that's a positive sign. But the problem is I see so many people who complain about the online stuff, but they can't really look at the bigger picture. There's not a problem with online leagues. I think there's a problem with too many online leagues, but there's not a problem with online Counter-Strike. There has to be a place for online Counter-Strike. It's impossible for everybody to attend a LAN event, and most people start playing Counter-Strike at home alone in their bedroom playing in matchmaking. So online is the first step. So it's definitely necessary. And with only so many days available in the calendar, and you want to hit quotas of minutes watched and this and that. And I actually think it's good for the players. I thought obviously playing in 2 is bad, but when you had like an online season, what Pro League did 2 or 3 seasons ago, they had 3 days every single week where it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I would fly home every weekend. Well, home. I'd fly back to wherever I was in the world at the time. And then I'd have a weekend away, and then I'd come back, and the players had to kind of stay at home. There wasn't really tournaments because you couldn't fit tournaments in for the 2-3 days that they could travel, and they got more time at home. So I think there's definitely a place for online tournaments. I think this is good because it removes the top tier teams, and it also gives the lower end of the spectrum a chance as well to get involved. And I think that's good. There's more upset potential. Starlight to do a similar thing for qualifiers for their events, right? They run big brackets or tournaments that take a couple days or something along those lines. So I don't think. I think everyone would be happy that there's no more best of 2s, none of that fucking nonsense, just wasted games. Everything now means something. So it's a positive change, and I think FaZe have done a good job. And now they've got that online space almost to themselves. So that's another positive right there.
Well, regarding top teams, basically they do have it to themselves. I don't think there's anything else that the top teams really play, right? Like unless they have to play a qualifier, like there's almost
IM
no.
Sydney right now, or like a Star.
Oh yeah,
if
of
they want
course.
to go,
But
then
like the huge events generally don't have that many events. The ones that don't have that many invites, like sure, there's going to be some of the top teams playing those, but generally they just have. They now only have VCS, which is great.
Yeah, I think it brings like an old school vibe of just like weekly cups. Even it is really a cup, like 8 teams playing a single elimination best of 3 bracket, a couple of days, and it's finished. And then next week or what? I'm not sure of the scheduling. I guess it's going to be like week after week. Maybe they skip a few weeks. I think that's going to be cool. And the only thing I'm not sure how it's going to work, it wasn't really kind of described, is which challenger teams will be getting the opportunity to actually play. Like if Astralis plays the first one, wins, doesn't want to play the next 4.
I mean, our news said about ranking, right?
But like, is the challenger series league going to be played out fully before these cups start, so then you have a clear ranking, or is it going to be like if at this week you are number 1, then you get the chance, and maybe 2 weeks later in the challenger thing you fall off, so you don't get the chance?
I'm sure they have a certain some sort of a system, right?
Yeah,
based on if they're going to invite the teams.
A semi-problem is that I guess the challenge, if a challenger team comes in the second week and actually wins it, does that mean that they go to the LAN finals, even though they're not like a top team?
I'm pretty sure it does. Like whoever. Oh, but I'm pretty sure whoever wins the first 3 events will just go to the finals. Whoever it is.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty cool thing, just because you then don't have these dead games like that you used to have, and that was a big issue. So no dead games. Every best of 3 means something to someone, especially if you're playing against a lower tier team.
Mate, there's nothing more depressing than doing the Pro League game on the final day, and it's just a bunch of fucking dead rubbers, and you're sitting there having to do the broadcast and make it seem like it's epic when the whole thing is it's over. It's just like, this is just a waste of time for everybody. So I think like now everybody will be much more invested. I don't even know how we landed on best of 2s. I think the whole reason, and I don't know from like an ECS or ESL, or if I would just like be thinking from my perspective, if you're handing out like your broadcast to other networks or whatever to stream it, you want to make sure that you have like a certain chunk of time and best of 2, right, you're allowing 45 minutes per game plus ad break, so that's a 2-hour chunk, so the whole night would be 6 hours, something like that. So it's only a positive thing. I think the only negative it could be is like when these qualifiers are and now other tournaments might look and go, other TOs might look and go, this looks like a juicy area where it's on the online Counter-Strike. Maybe we can pull out the land stop here, and maybe it'll pull teams away because that's a guaranteed land that they've been invited to, as opposed to an online cup that they have to qualify for. So that could be one negative. One maybe thing is people start going, okay, now we can get a little bit cheeky and start, jumping in the calendar here, there, and everywhere. But the teams who have contracts signed with FACEIT and ESL and all that business obviously can't be bailing or shouldn't be.
Well, I mean, they're at least allowed to skip those tournaments, right? Obviously, if they already say that they're going to attend one, they probably shouldn't skip it, right? But generally, the ECS are actually allowing the teams that have already qualified or whatever have another tournament coming up. That's the thing, right? How is it going to work when, like, let's say the first tournament already happens, right? Is the second one already going to be pre-planned at that point? Because, like, obviously the team that wins the first one is just going to skip the second one because they're already qualified. They're actually allowed to do it. So is it just going to happen? Like, are the invites only going to happen like in between those two tournaments, or how is that going to work? I feel like
I think by default, like the top 8 teams get invited, and then if they don't want, then they just like skip it, and it goes down the line to the next one, then into the challenger.
Well,
because
yeah, but based on the schedule, right?
ECS has only 8 teams, right, in the league. They used to have it when they had the classic round robin thing. I need to actually check that.
No, they do 6. I mean 8. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure it was 8.
I'm looking at it right now. League standings, there was 10 teams in Season 6.
Oh, okay, 10. Never mind.
For Europe. I assume it would be the same for North
Yeah,
America.
that's right.
Yeah, so since it's an 8-team cup, then the last 2 teams will be kind of in the waiting until someone qualifies from the first cup, and the 9th team comes in, then potentially, because even if Alice, let's say, wins the first one, especially if some underdog wins it, let's say, I don't know, LDLC, I don't know, that won't happen, but never mind. If they win it, they'll want to play more just for the money, probably.
It's 8 though, because VP and G2 were 9th and 10th, and they just got demoted to the Challenger Cup.
Yeah, so they won't have any new teams coming in.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense.
They're just going to have the 8 teams: Astralis, North, Mousesports, NIP, FaZe, LDLC.
Yo, it's the cup
Fnatic, and
time!
Optic.
Everyone get down!
Yeah, that definitely came from my mic.
Yeah,
Rip.
definitely didn't come from mine. Anyway, but you have those 8 teams are going to be the ones that they're going to get priority, right? And then VP, G2, because they placed last and like second to last time, they're going to be like probably the top 2 invites for the Challenger Cup. I'm not sure entirely, but I'm just talking about the timing of it, because like obviously, like if the second term is already pre-planned before the first one even takes place, like if they're close together, so they might have to change teams like in between tournaments, like last minute and stuff like that. So I feel like that could be another issue that could pop up.
I think that's where they're banking on the challenger teams to just come in.
That's
because
true.
8 teams, it's not, if you have like 2 or 3 teams to come in from the challenger, you're going to be able to get that.
Sure.
I feel the problem here is, like, we've had Pro League seasons and ECS seasons and before where clearly not the best teams who have played in that season have made it due to a bunch of factors, right? And I feel like this format here is trying to do the right thing, right? ECS, FACEIT have gone, okay, this is how we can solve the problem, and the people can stop complaining, and we can move, we can get rid of the online Counter-Strike for all of these teams so they can focus more, meant to allow them to practice more, I feel like they're going to, unfortunately, and this sucks because FACEIT are trying to do the right thing, I feel like they're going to get scorned here, and their finals are probably going to have less of the good teams than actually should be in attendance, because, you know, I think some shit team or some team is going to go on some like crazy run in a tournament and knock out a couple of big names, and you know, as soon as you have one of those, if one of those tournaments where somebody who isn't one of the top 3, top 5, top 7 teams or whatever qualifies, that's thrown a spanner in the whole thing, right? And here's another problem: getting your guys out of, how many teams in the world do you think you can get them out of fucking 3rd gear in an online game and get them into 1st or 2nd or 2nd gear, just edging on 1st what they need, going up against a fucking, I don't know, Wendigo, who to them it's the Super Bowl, but to I don't know, Fnatic, it's just another game. Like, these are the problems, I think, and unfortunately I think FaCeIT are going to get scorned by this because they're not going to have the bigger names, and it's actually going to filter in some of the lower ranked teams. That's a wild prediction. Write that one down.
Well, it's definitely going to be more volatile because of that.
I just said write it down. I think that could happen. I'm also afraid that could happen, and that's pretty shit, but that's a risk they're taking with this kind of more exciting online, I don't know, format. At the same time, maybe it's more interesting to watch the online games because of it. Maybe then you kind of want to follow the storyline and the Windigo, follow up the online thing on LAN actually.
Yeah.
Of course, the viewership will suffer. Viewership just comes with like the top teams, FaZe, Astralis, Cloud9. Top teams, Cloud9. Popular teams, Cloud9.
Not the most popular teams, yeah.
I think, this, and this isn't meant to sound bad to anybody. This just seems to be the way that the food chain is kind of progressing now. But I think everybody would agree. In the end of 2017 and the start of, and maybe all of 2018, DreamHack Open events are now tier 2 events, right? Like,
Yeah.
That's what they are, and that's what they're catering to. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that's
positive.
a much needed thing to have a bunch of tier 2 teams going off in an environment which 3-4 years ago was considered the bee's knees, right? So for us to have that, and then if this online league, I don't want it to become a cesspool of the tier 2 teams and tier 3 teams just fucking being gods online. But if that happens, maybe it's not a bad thing. You're taking them to bigger stadiums. We're bringing in maybe fan bases from more unique parts of the world. If that might be what happens here. I feel like it's gonna have to be one of those wait and see situations. But it's going to be an interesting year.
In Europe, at least, like these top 8 teams, you have Astralis, North, Mousesports, NIP, FaZe, Fnatic, and then Optic, LDLC. Optic, LDLC are maybe the lower, less interesting teams, but the other 6 are kind of the big names. So considering these top 8 have to play the first 1, 2, 3 cups, then you're most likely not going to... I mean, it's most likely, but still it can happen that Optic wins 3 best of 3s or whoever. But
possible, yeah.
I don't think just the way they framed it, I think they'll be pretty much secure to have the good teams in there. We'll see.
We will see indeed. All right, so the next bit of breaking news we want to look at, guys, and obviously it's not one that is even 100% confirmed, but most of these things do tend to be true, especially when you see DK talking about it, is StarLadder having the next major. And I'll start by saying, certainly they are the ones that deserve it. These guys have been grinding out events, and they have a unique style of events, right? Both me and Sponge have worked them over the years. They finally get their call up to do it, right? They've done one in Dota recently, and now it's time to potentially do a CSGO one. So, thoughts and feelings on that? Sponge, I'm going to start with you, mate.
First things first. I'm the realist. Second of all, what I wanna mention here is when I heard the rumors, when DK did the report, I assumed immediately, maybe StarLadder will work with somebody and we'll get an event in China or something along those lines, right? Like we'll get something in a region that we haven't seen. Based off the fact they've just done the Dota Major, I thought, okay, maybe we're going to take a step into a whole new region, whole new part of the world. But then with the follow-up about it being in Berlin, that was super interesting to me from the standpoint that they're going to do 2 European majors back-to-back in the same year. That's the first time that would have happened in a very long time. This is the first time.
I get the Berlin thing, though.
Well,
that makes sense because they're doing PUBG out of there as well.
Yeah. But this is the first time in 2 years that we've actually had the European major as the first major of the year. The last 2 have been E-League to kick off both. So they obviously, I thought Valve were going to go 1-1, try and split between both fan bases. But look, this change to have it in Berlin. We know Cologne fucking pops off. People pack that out. In terms of Star Series doing it, the only thing I guess is normally they're used to running Russian streams as the primary broadcast, and then the English one secondary. So I guess they're going to put a lot more emphasis on the English one. I guess that must be a Valve proviso, right? So that must be in their pitch, in their plans. But all in all, I think they know how to put on a very grand show, and I think that they have some very unique things that they do with in-game stuff, especially the way that they depict their round timelines, and there's certain things which I look at and certain stats in pre-match stuff that we do, which I think are really cool from my perspective. And most teams who go to their tournaments, actually all teams, you hardly ever hear any complaints, right? So all in all, I think it's good to see another challenger stepping into the ring to host a major, and if it is them who's doing it, I'm super excited to see what can come of it.
Look, about the Berlin thing, I felt like when I saw that, I felt like it had to be wrong. Just because of StarLadder, just because of the CIS fan base, basically. Like the CIS have been asking for a major for a long time, and we even had an interview with the product manager, I think is his title, Sergey, who was talking about like that CIS really deserves their first major or something along those lines. So to hear that StarLadder is actually going to host a major, and then to basically blue ball the CIS fan base and say that it's going to be held in Berlin, I feel like that's a pretty bad
Okay,
move.
well, like let's
Logic.
here. No, it's not logic. Okay, so as far as I understand, and from the
Okay.
people that I have spoken to, and the people who I know and trust, the reason that we will never get Valve have I don't give a fuck. Screw it. Valve have windows of time that you're allowed to. So that you have to be doing your event from a certain part of the world, right? Imagine the world chopped up into all the different time zones. Your event has to fit into the time zones that they say yes to, right? And the CIS region, for whatever reason, doesn't fit into that time zone, nor does China. That's why when I heard, I figured, oh, okay, maybe China, that's crazy. Valve are changing their ways. That's why we have them in more central European places, and that's why we have Atlanta, and my geography is terrible, so you guys can tell me if I'm an absolute moron
Atlanta
here.
is -7 anyway.
Yeah, and Columbus. So Columbus, Atlanta, and Boston are all central or East Coast US, right? If my geography's okay.
Yeah, East
So
Coast.
none of them
Atlanta
are
is
West
not that
Coast.
close, but
If you were gonna run a tournament in America, I'd want it West Coast, right? Because LA, like that kind of part of the world, there's so many, fucking people. So I think you wouldn't have any issues packing out there. I think, as far as I'm aware from the sources that I've spoken to, the reason CS and China, they just don't fit into that window, that window of time, the time zones that Valve want.
But it's an hour difference compared to Central
I
Europe.
know,
though.
I
feel
know,
like that's
but-
pretty. I don't know.
I don't know why I've heard this or why this is the case, but that's for some reason that's.
I mean,
that's
surely
sticking
you
with
can
me.
work around that somehow with scheduling.
One would
Yeah,
hope.
1 hour's not too bad, right?
That's the thing.
Difference.
Just 1 hour difference. I feel like to just cut off like basically half of the world because of this reason, or even more. It's fucking Asia. Like all of Asia is basically gone by these rules. So I feel like that's not the greatest move.
I mean-
Especially okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I wanted to compare it to like the Dota majors where they run them, but then I realized it's not just comparing CS and Dota, even though it's the same company, doesn't make sense.
No.
At any time, but they did majors all over the world. They did one in Kiev recently, I think, as well. They did them over in China and Manila, wherever. So I don't think the time zone should be an issue, but I believe it can be an issue. It's not like I'm saying like, no, you're wrong.
I mean, I can understand
But
China just because
it's
of
1 hour.
Yeah,
Literally.
I can understand China, or just generally Asia, because of it's not fitting either of North America or Europe. It's basically pretty bad for the major regions, right? For both of the major regions. So I can understand it from that point of view. But for CIS, it's obviously for Europe, it's basically the same thing. It's 1 hour difference. For North America, well, it's exactly the same, right? It's going to be a European event to them. It's going to be the same thing. 1 hour is not going to make enough of a difference. So I'm not entirely sure
It's for
if
me.
this is a good move.
For me, it's very curious. Well, that's if it is Berlin, right? And so far, DK's stuff's always been pretty much bang on. But let's just say that it is Berlin. Let's just go with that being the fact. Another thing is that the TOs who pitch to Valve for their events, they're kind of pitching in the region of what like Valve's looking for, right? So I think that they go and they get a directive from Valve when they pitch. And then they get, next time we want you to focus more on this and more on this, and then they go back and they do it again. It's just curious because obviously different TOs look at different things to be the focal points. I'm just curious as to what Star Ladders would be if it's not in the CIS region. That's why, like, when I thought it'd be Star Ladder doing it in a more unique region, that would be like the biggest part of the pitch. So I'm really curious to see what they've gone with as their, hey Valve, this is what we're going to do. Because right now, there's only a couple of bits and pieces that I think are really maybe lacking from around the majors. I think the minor system now is getting to a good point. Obviously, the format stuff is quite tasty now too. I think like we're lacking a lot of content outside of the actual matches, on those off days, more stuff going on with players, more talk shows, breaking more stuff down. So maybe Star Ladder have an idea to do more of that stuff and Valve like that. I don't know, but I think like all in all, that so far they've been able to put on some very good events in their key regions. It's going to be cool to see them branch out. That's about it.
I guess my only thought on it is just from the PUBG side of things, right? They're going to have that like amazing studio out there that they're going to be working from. Did they pitch something in with that? Because something must be connected there in terms of how they've worked it, because otherwise, like you guys were saying, there's not really any reason to have it in Berlin and that unless it's a Valve directive. But But I assume they're going to be aiming to do something special, something that's managed to get them this done. If it does end up being confirmed, right, okay, we can still look at where they don't get the major, or that the major is again in a different location. We'll just have to wait and see.
Is there?
I mean, yeah, go.
I was just gonna say, is there like the stuff that they're doing with PUBG? Is there
Yeah.
like?
It's in Berlin. It's the Pro League for them, basically, where all the teams
I think it
of
didn't
talent will
start
be there.
yet. That's
No, it doesn't start yet. We have contenders start towards the end of this month, which is like the phase 1 of it, and then after that, the Pro League will start, which has a little bit of a delay to it, I believe.
And it's in the Mercedes-Benz Arena.
Yeah, which was the one they did the PUBG Invitational from, which is actually a wild. It's a really nice arena. They didn't fill out with PUBG. They could certainly fill out with CS:GO.
Okay. All right. I just brought it up. Okay, they can close the roof. Well, that could be something special.
So yeah,
I mean,
that arena's awesome.
ESL did one open Dota event. Was it the Frankfurt or something? And I think it was raining, of course, because
Germany.
why not? When you that's what happens. But yeah, just about the whole CIS major thing. I know from that interview that I did, I think it was Star Series Season 4, where the simple MVP mouse won. The product manager did say that they pitched for CIS majors, but also for non-CIS majors, just because it's up to Valve to decide. So I guess they were kind of thinking, I mean, these things are not confirmed, but I guess if Valve doesn't want to hold one in CIS, then they were kind of forced to try and find a different location in Europe somewhere, and maybe even not in Europe as well. And I think it's kind of sad that the CIS region doesn't get a major, just considering how big it is actually for CS in general. Major winner Gambit as well from there. Other than that, I have no idea what they're going to be bringing uniquely, especially because I think that Valve doesn't like what Star Series are doing that much, like the wall graffiti and stuff like that. I think they're not that open to those in-game modifications, like the gloves, team gloves and stuff like that. So must be something else. Where's the innovation going to come from? I have no idea.
I mean,
but
just
I think they
to
deserve it.
just to touch back on the thing that Sponge was talking about the directives. Somebody actually linked it in the Twitch chat about their like FAQ about the sales selection process. I was just like quickly sifting through that, and they actually do say that it's like that it, as long as the location doesn't really come with a significant risk of like a local or online viewer inconvenience, they're willing to consider any location. But then they add on that that ideal locations are between EST and CET. EST being Eastern Standard Time, which is -6 compared to CET.
Yeah.
So
CET is like classic Europe, Germany.
Yeah. Just most of Europe, right? The CET.
Yeah.
The vast majority of Europe, anyway. So that's, I guess you're right in that it must be a Valve directive, or them just like playing it safe and not like risking a location in Moscow or whatever, where it would be, or Kiev or something like that.
Well, if we're worried about visa stuff being a nightmare,
That's okay. Yeah, that's also another
true.
thing. Actually, that's fair enough. That could be a much bigger problem than anywhere else outside of Asia, probably.
Epicenter was pretty on point with the Russian visas, though. No one had issues with
Well-
that. Though they had their own ways of getting people through. That was pretty.
Yeah.
Power.
Yeah. I guess it depends on who's kind of, I don't know, running the company. I think that usually assists with
Yeah, and I
getting
think
visas.
it could be actually that Kiev is just not a good place to run events, not because of anything other than the venues, because I think that StarLadder has been having issues with getting good venues. Like the only one that they have is that Palace Ukraine, which is like a 3,000-seater, pretty old building as well. And it's often like mega booked. So that's why they have to do the events in there. Like Cybersport Arena, the small one, has like 200 people or something like that. So if they can't maybe get it's a scheduling nightmare actually. You have to pitch for the major, and you have to have the venue already kind of ready. You can't really pitch and say, okay, we'll find a venue later. So you have to find the time in accordance with Valve when they want it, and you have to book or pre-book the venue, which can be actually booked like a year in advance. So if that week is booked now, then you're fucked. You can't do anything. And if there are not a lot of venues in the city, then what can you do?
Speaking just speaking of location, of window of time. When do you reckon it'll be if you had to hazard some guesses here? Because I think that.
What do you mean? Oh, the second major.
Yeah, sure. Like we know the player
August?
break. We know now that's when
No.
the player break is. So unless
before.
they put it into the player break, normally so far how the years have panned out is the last 2 years, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. We've gone player break into a DreamHack Masters. That's how we've gone. So either what's going to happen here is DreamHack Masters is getting cucked, or they're going to go a month or 2 months after that, right? So maybe towards the end of September, the start of October, maybe late October.
I think it's gonna be like last year with the Face It major.
Yeah,
That's
why
how
not.
I think even in the report it's like early post break, whatever.
Which
Yeah.
just sucks. We
I don't
really
know.
want to
We're-
avoid that. That's just. I guess
was- yeah,
everyone just has
we
to
were-
play in the break. Just fucking.
Yeah,
do
we
it,
were
I guess.
bashing on that last time as well. I would just really like the player break to follow a major, but
That's
fuck it. I mean, what can we do about that?
the problem is that's what we think, but we even did
But
that.
it
Sergio,
is,
you
though.
remember? You remember we did interviews with players asking them
I
about
know,
the
I know.
major timing, and half of them said like, "Oh, I want them
But
straight after
they're
the
not
break."
they're not thinking about it though. I feel like they're just
But they probably
fucking,
said that to someone, to Valve, whoever, at one point, not thinking it through, and then later, that's what you get. And it's like,
There you
oh,
go.
this is actually not really
No,
good.
100%. I've heard that has happened at some point. The thing
yeah,
is,
I've heard the same thing, but I feel like they're not thinking about the decision whatsoever, and they just get fucked over by over and over, like they did in London as well. So I feel like asking players about whatever yeah, Sponge, you
Anything.
can go on a rant about
No,
this
no,
one because
no,
you've done that a
I'm-
couple of times in
I'm
the past.
keeping relaxed. I'm keeping
But
very
it's
relaxed.
we're coming back to the same issue, right? Because like I feel like the players don't have no idea. Like sure they were talking about they were bringing up being burnt out at the end of the season and they don't want to play a major at that point. But yeah, we can also bring back the argument that you can always skip summer events to not be burnt out and stuff like that. So it's just like they're not thinking about it or they're not discussing it with their organizations.
The last
and
time
stuff
we
like that.
had a major at the end of the playing period, so you had like 5-6 months of playing, and then
Was
the
Krakow.
major was PGL Krakow, and that was 2017, first half of 2017, and then people didn't skip events. That was fact. Only Astralis skipped one event, and that was the Cologne one. That was like, ooh,
Yeah.
why did they skip this event? Now they didn't win. Haha, whatever, shame on them. And
Sure.
after that, then we actually started seeing people skip events. And now, I think in this like 2019 era, it makes sense to have the major at the end because people actually realize that skipping events is nothing bad and it should be done.
Especially like with the increased amount of events that we've had. Like it's not going to damage them to skip even a Cologne, even an event like Cologne. Okay, for some organizations, probably not going to be that great for somebody like Mo Sports or Big who actually have some sort of a fan base there. But
I mean, they
outside of
never
those
reach the
teams-
playoffs anyway, so
Well, okay, okay, Big last time anyway. Whatever, doesn't really matter. But outside of those teams, like outside of a certain amount of teams, like no event is going to be damaging enough for them not to be able to skip it. So it's just like, unless it's like some sponsor issue or whatever like that they require you to go there, I don't see a problem in skipping an event here and there. Like once every 4 months they skip an event or something like that. Like why wouldn't they be able to? So but at this point, especially because of that, especially because of the bad argument about burnout at the end of the season, it just has to be at the end.
Well, let's see if it is. We won't know for sure just yet, but we'll find out, obviously, in probably a few months or so, whether these things are true or not. Now, let's move on to our first topic. Is away from breaking news. We had a fair amount to discuss. We're going to be looking at the Ice Challenge event put on by GG Bet. And, okay, North walk away with a win. Not too bad. Na'Vi dropped the ball. But we know potentially from what Simple said a while ago that they'll be making changes after the major regardless. But either way, what did you make of that? I'm going to start with you, Prof.
what to say? I guess kind of a redemption storyline for North, but not a big one just because
Yeah.
it's... I don't think it's a throwaway tournament. I think results here mean more even than the iBuyPower one because these teams were actually trying to win and the event was fine. It was run fine. It was the admin team was okay, no delays, whatever. No one was complaining about anything. Schedule was reasonable, 2 best of 3s, not like 11 best of 1s or whatever. So I think the results are like okay, they make sense. North had their good tournament. Navi not impressing at all, and obviously I think it's not even that much about what they showed in the server. It's just about everything surrounding the team right now that makes us kind of worried about them.
I don't know how they're still arguing. Like, I thought that, you know, it's your first tournament of the year, and you're still, after every round, just fucking head in hands, huffing and puffing, looking down the line, everyone looking fucking dejected. They lost to, like, a pistol round that was a 2v1 or some shit, right? And they probably shouldn't have lost it. Like, they lost some round that they shouldn't have lost. But then, it's like the first round of the game, and I'm sitting there going, what the fuck? Just calm the fuck down. You just started playing. Like, you literally just started. It's the first round of a best of 3 series. I thought they would have, like, definitely tried to work on that shit. But look, the positive thing is Simple still just killed everybody, so that's really good. So I think Na'Vi, for me, they're just the most up and down team we have. That's the case. They're almost fucking Striker almost got wrecked by the curse. Almost got destroyed by the curse of Na'Vi or losing the opening game of every tournament.
I mean, I pretty much did.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, they did
lose
the
it. They did lose it.
Yeah,
oh my god!
And Striker even went 2-0. That was so good. I wanted to clip that and throw it in right now. It's like Navi's opening game 2-0 against Heroic, and Spudge is like, "Don't you? Isn't this Navi? You know, they start slow." It's like, no, it's not gonna happen this time. Of course,
I thought, to be honest, though, okay, like going back to that. Of course, we're gonna come back to that in the next segment, whatever. But going back to that, I genuinely thought that the break was going to help them rather than do the exact same thing that they do like every other event, whenever there's a break or not. But this obviously traces back to, like, based on the video from the boot camp in London, this traces back to that, and that they had like emotional issues already at the boot camp. And so if you start off your preparation based on that, and based on what Zeus said, they didn't even really prepare for the major as much as they should have, or as much as they could have, as opposed to, like, compared to other events, that they just prepared about the same way or anything like that. But I feel like that's the bigger problem, that they've just traced it back to the boot camp, or just like traces back to the boot camp, and now it's just going on.
I think, like, it could just be sandbagging. I don't want to say that. I really don't. I really hope that's not the case, but why the fuck not, I guess. Like, they could have practiced the fuck out of Cache. You know, they could come in here and, like, first ban God knows what and just fucking be gods. That could have just been them putting on an act. But I don't think that that's sophisticated in that side of things. I wish
it would be a pretty fucking insane.
I would love it. That'd be great. They come out and they're like, yeah, we trolled you all. We're fucking sick now. But there's still obviously the potential for them to win the whole major. That's the scary thing, right? Like,
that's what I was about to say, yeah. Because they could like, just based on Simple, basically, on Simple and Electronic, that combo, like, if they go up, they're just gonna be contenders anyway. It doesn't really matter as long as the both of them. Because, okay, fair enough, Electronic actually didn't really show up in all of the games. He had a couple of really bad games, especially in the opening one. In the last 2 Heroic, he was really, really bad on the second and third map, from what I remember watching that particular match. So as long as he actually turns up, as opposed to not in that opening game, I feel like they're just going to be contenders no matter what.
I try to think of the other takeaways. Heroic, for me, there's not a lot to take away, really.
Confidence boost for North, that's about it after their shit show.
If I was Avangard, I wouldn't give a fuck. I'd just be like, whatever.
But I mean, Heroic, we can always mention BlameF and his debut, which was actually very good.
Yeah,
he was pretty damn great. At least in the games that I saw, to be honest, like, I don't think I saw everyone. But actually, going back, he actually had like 0.95, but he had like 3 really bad maps from what I can see.
Had a couple of good clutches. He had like a couple of good pistol round clutches, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like that team hasn't been together for very long, so grain of salt for me. For Avangard, if I was those guys, 0 fucks given. For North, I guess the best thing for them is they have a new coach who apparently has been coaching like at schools and stuff within the Danish scene over the last couple of years and has been doing it.
So he knows how to work with kids, so perfect for a CS coach.
That was where I was going with that, but I watched it. I saw like the way his demeanor, the way that he spoke and stuff, and I think that, you know, maybe he'll be a bit more of an authority type figure. There was actually a thread today on Reddit that was talking about him, and like it was written by one of his students actually, who if you were late, or I don't know if it was you were late, there was something in here. It's like if you didn't do your homework or whatever, then he'd make you run in the morning or some shit. I'm probably butchering this whole thing, but anyway, I think the best thing for North is the stuff that's come out about the new coach.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Ava, I've always talked about him as legend of the game, but North obviously needs something to get them going the right way. So, all in all, pretty flat event. I don't think anything. I think the setup, looking at each other was kind of cool. The Octong, yeah, whatever. It was it was in a trade show, I guess, to market Counter-Strike as something that people can gamble on. Cool.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing that we have to.
Always a fan of that.
Huh?
Get more money in the scene. I'm always a fan of that.
Oh,
I agree.
That's another thing that we can also touch on is that Navi were basically pushed into this by the organization because of GGBet. So that's another thing that we have to mention when it comes to Navi and how they focused at this event, right? This is not the Navi that we will see at the major, no matter what we heard afterwards about their emotional issues. I'm sure they're going to be much more fired up at the major, where it just matters so much more, right? This is a 50,000 event with 4 teams. None of them should be a legitimate threat to Navi, right? So they're just going to. Huh?
How much does a Rolex cost? Like an average, like a middle of the range Rolex.
I have no idea.
20K.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when Zeus is buying Flamey a Rolex as a fucking gift, if you think Navi give a fuck about a 50K tournament, you got another thing coming. You got to go and get yourself fucking checked.
Yeah, a little bit of a different ball game when it comes to that. I think that's.
And they just didn't even. Zeus even said they didn't even want to come to that event, so he admitted that. So that I feel like says quite a lot about Navi at the tournament as well. So we have to take that result with a little bit of a grain of salt, but be a little bit worried about what has been said afterwards about the emotional issues and stuff like that. And
the quote from Zeus is, I just pulled it out now. Says, these personalities haven't changed and it will take years for any change to take place. Personally, I have no interest in raising these people or working on relationships. I don't have the strength or willingness to do it anymore. And I mean, you can flame him and
that sounds like a person who's done, man.
Yes.
It does, but at the same time, I think it's like mega hard to be in that kind of a position. I think that is his role in the team, though, since obviously he's not fragging, and that is what he brings to a team. That is what that is his resume as a captain, is just getting people to do their job. And if he's not willing to do that anymore, then that sucks for him and sucks for the team. But they're probably going to then have to look for someone else.
But Zeus has always had this problem. I mean, I don't want to call it a problem. It's just like the mentality that he has of like either it's my way or it's no way. And like based on the video, like whoever hasn't seen it, like go to Zeus's YouTube channel and watch their video from the boot camp. I think it's about 4 days old or something like that. Now. Yeah, go for it. Because there were obvious issues between Kane and Zeus, and Kane like having a little bit too much input for Zeus's taste, and he just didn't want to have that kind of input and just like confusing his players and stuff like that. So it's like Zeus's mentality is like, I'm the captain, I make all the calls, and that's it, right? So that's
you do as I say.
That is just the mentality that he has, and that's what's disrupting Navi at this point as well.
But did you watch the whole video by any chance?
I watched the last 10 minutes or something that were
so if
like,
you go
relevant to this.
In the start of the video, Zeus starts talking about we're trying like a new approach to practice, being more professional. Like Astralis is very professional, and that's obviously like bringing some results.
Yeah.
And now we can't be late for practice anymore, or people will get fined.
Okay.
So like you're professional players, now after like 10 years of playing the game, it's like you can't be late anymore. And you see at one point it's like 15 minutes to practice, and it's like, I don't know, Simple and Edward are going out for a smoke or something, I don't know, in the vlog. And it's like, oh, we have 15 minutes, or we can only be 5 minutes late, we don't want to get fined like the first day, like, and they still leave 15 minutes before practice.
The thing is, it's like it's inbuilt in that team, right? The way that they're always going to be like that, because when you find success, like let's be honest, they won ESO1 Cologne, they were in the grand final of the major, they were a successful team last year. They had the best player in the world. They have Electronic, who's one of the best players in the world. They're super competitive. They won a shitload of money. They're getting paid a shitload. They got a massive fan base. It works with the way that they are now. I think that with Zeus being the way he is as an in-game leader, he's an old school in-game leader. I can respect that. I definitely can. That's kind of just the way that he's done it for his career. Now, he's like a quarterback who's, been playing for a long time and the game's changed. Now, he would have to go. He is the one who would have to change if he wanted to change the team. Now, do you want to do that as your career is coming towards the end? You're copying a lot of flack, all that kind of stuff. Probably not. So you can look at that as a factor there as well. I think all in all, there was rumors late last year about this team not being the way it is. I think after the major, it probably won't be. If I'm Na'Vi, I'm using Simple as my franchise player. I'm getting Electronic as my number 2, and then I'm building a team around those guys, right? If Flamey can continue to show like some good sparks, like he did at that event, he had a couple of good moments. You know, he didn't feel that flat. Then we've spoken about this on the show before. You've got yourself a good recipe. I'm still thinking, get fucking Jame. That kid's nuts.
Yes. Yeah, we saw enough of him
just
as well.
For Simple to go back to rifling. Yeah, it could work. Could definitely work.
Plenty of options for that team.
Huh?
Plenty of options for that team, and as Simple already said, right, things will change after the major. In what way we'll soon find out. What I hope is they don't do really well at the major, and then they don't change anything. That would suck. I think they just need to stick to their guns and make the change. Let's get on with it. You know what's coming up next, though? And, Prof, this is actually your one moment to shine in the show. It's you leading the charge against Striker. Let's see if Striker's made any more money and caught up, or is Striker really just rock bottom at the moment?
No, I'm not rock bottom.
Professor.
He made some money. He made money.
Oh, okay.
About $5.
Oh, wow.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I'm not even
you're
close.
negative
I
again?
lost. Yeah, of course. This is the worst that I've done by far.
Oh.
Because I lost 2 out of the 3.
So betting on Na'Vi to win the first match doesn't breed success.
Well, betting on Na'Vi to win a tournament that they're heavily favored
Yeah,
out
that fucked me as well.
Did not yield much success. I mean, I'm gonna fucking own it. I was wrong about that one. Like Na'Vi definitely didn't turn up as much as I thought they would. Or like they shouldn't have had competition. Like North, I guess were like the closest team, but closest team to them. But still, they shouldn't have been in a position to win against a well-playing Na'Vi. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, and it was a 2-0 in the final, so it was pretty convincing from North.
Yeah, and Na'Vi almost lost to Avangar as well in that elimination match. Like they were inches away from losing, from going out last as well. So it's like that's another thing that we have to consider. Like Na'Vi definitely didn't turn up, and that kind of fucked me a lot.
Yeah.
Because
I had a combo ticket. I had a combo ticket. I can actually bring it up to remember what did I actually bet last time. And
well, I bet on Na'Vi winning the first match 2-0, which was they lost it 2-1. Then I bet on them winning the event. I figured, okay, maybe they're going to lose the first match, but they're still going to come back and win the event. Okay, didn't do that. Lost in the final. And then I bet on North to beat Avangar, which they did. So I at least got something back, quite a bit actually, because it was pretty high odds. It was like 2.2 or something. So I actually made quite a lot back, but not enough.
Yeah, I got Windigo to beat Red Reserve. Unicorns of Love, of course, to beat Blue Jays in the
dude, your
Meisterschaft match of the week. And then Nadas Vincere classically fucked me, but whatever. Yeah. Combo ticket, so I lost a bit. But
look, this time it's actually going to be it's actually going to be good games, because it's all about the major.
Bring him on.
Let's go.
What you got?
Okay, I guess I'm gonna go first because we were talking about it before. This is all from the major. Like I figured, okay, this is a major show. Let's just make it all about the major. So I just went with the opening matches of the new challenger stage, which have been announced a while back, and it's kind of a mix of like safe choices and pretty big risks, but like calculated ones as well. I'm gonna start from the top, which is one of the like semi-risky ones, like one of the 50-50s, I would say, from most people's eyes, or in most people's eyes, which is G2 against Vega. Vega had by far the higher odds. Like G2 had something like 1.5. I feel like it's much closer to 50-50, and Vega are a team that always surprises us at the major, and especially against a team like G2, who's far from proven. So I felt like betting like a pretty good sum on them would be could yield quite a lot of value just because of the odds that they have, because they hadn't really played anything. So they're ranked somewhere like super low, something like 50th compared to
pre-major Vega.
Exactly. This is what we were talking about last time when you guys weren't here. That Vega like literally do the same thing before, like at every major. They just surprise somebody, and make it through. So I feel like this is where it's going to start for them.
Let's be real. G2 isn't really convincing.
Exactly.
Not a team I'm sold on at all.
Yeah, Vega definitely got that, man.
Going on to the less risky ones, to the locked-ins, I feel like NiP should be Heavily favored against Furia. Same with Fnatic against Vici. In those opening matches, I think those are the two, like 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15, or something close to it. I think like those are the most one-sided based on rankings anyway. And then going on to another, like one of the risky ones is title against Vitality. Actually, fairly similar reasoning to the Vega one. Is that Vitality, again, not a very proven team against like the top tier scene, and Tidal with the new team haven't really even played official matches yet. Not in anything significant anyway, as far as I know. So I feel like this Tyloo could actually come in and play pretty well. And for them to have like 3.2 odds on a team that we have no idea how they're gonna play, I just like bet $10 on them and see if that actually yields something against the team that I'm not entirely sold on as well. And closing it out with Renegades of Ungar, another one of those 50-50s, I feel like. But
What about
Ungar,
the boys?
that's the thing, right? I actually, the first slip that I had actually had Renegades to win, just because they were a little bit higher, and I feel like this is a 50-50, fairly close. But Avangar have just been pretty impressive as of late. At the minor, I thought that they played really well, and even at the Ice Challenge when they played against Navi, they almost beat Navi in that match, as I said before. So I felt like, even though it was last placing, I thought that they didn't play bad at all. So that's kind of my thinking. I'm not very sold on Renegades, so I just felt like putting $40 on Avangar was fairly reasonable.
I can say that these are actually fairly similar to mine.
Ooh.
You put in €200, which is insane, considering you have like 300 left. But
I have
okay.
400 left. I have
He's
400
going for
left, so
broke,
I'm just
man.
going
Let's
half
say
the pot.
I have very similar ones, but in a
Okay.
combo, and Lucas bring them. And I invested a whooping €10.
Seriously?
What?
Yes.
I thought you were going to do
€10.
that.
Is that
I
the lowest
thought you were
one
going
you
to do
combo?
that.
Must be.
It's a 7.
I mean,
okay.
it is a
I mean,
pretty
it's
risky
pretty
one.
risky. It
You
is
can
pretty
just-
risky as far as I can see.
Oh yeah,
Go
I
on.
went for Tyloo. I get 10 rounds on Vitality, which is insane, 1.52 odds for that. I went for Furia to beat Nip because
Oh,
Nip,
really?
I have no faith in Nip.
Seriously?
I think they're
You
just
put in
like, I
Furia?
think they're
Okay.
coasting. They're coasting as fuck. They're just like riding the wave.
I can see that. I can get behind it a bit, yeah.
And Furia is like mega hyped, and let's say first match they can get upset here, and it's like insane odds, 2.7 on that. NIP played their last game. Their last event was Lisbon, and they had 0 wins there, and that was like 2 months ago now. So I don't know. I think I don't have a lot of faith in them in that lineup.
I can see the
I went
logic.
for-
I just wouldn't put it in the combo, man.
Then I went for Vega Squadron to beat G2.
Yeah.
You gave a good reasoning, and I said as well. And then I added just 2 kind of safe picks, which is ENCE to beat Spirit and Fnatic to beat Vici. I think just to sweeten it up for a combined 17 multiplier, €10 for.
There's no fucking way all of those going to come through. Like, I can see every single one individually. Like, I could kind of even give you Furia and the reasoning there, but I feel like all of them together would take. You're not going to lose much anyway. Like, I'm basically like burying my own grave at this
I
point.
wanted to go for a normal
Yeah.
bet, but there are some of these like upsets had so good odds
Yeah.
that I'm like, okay, I'll go for a high risk, high reward.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, at this point, like, if I keep losing, I'm just burying my own grave, and you can just fucking coast and do whatever you want. Like, as long as you don't.
Nah, I want
As
to
long
do
as you don't put in like big amounts, like I'm gonna lose myself. Like it doesn't even matter what you do at this point.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. But it's pretty reasonable. Nothing to call out here.
Yeah,
from
I mean,
your side.
the Fury against Nip is the one that's gonna fuck you. I think I'm gonna call it now.
Easy for Yuri,
Okay.
Yuri H, whatever.
Well, let's see how it goes. Remember, guys, if you are betting, make sure you're over 18. Make sure you're only betting with money that you have, and don't get angry at the players.
Take
when
fucking
they manage to
responsibility
lose.
for your own actions, right?
Or lack
Exactly.
thereof actions, like me. Just sit
Exactly.
at home for 2 weeks, leave the apartment a total of 7 times, eat Ben & Jerry's ice cream every day, and play video games. That's what I recommend you all do.
You still doing your workouts,
Yeah.
Chad? Are you still keeping at least somewhat healthy? Because that does
Yeah,
not sound good.
I come down the ladder to the fridge and get my ice
Oh.
cream.
Oh god. Oh, Chad.
So the calisthenics, that's done.
Yep, occasionally I lift a suitcase, so that's like my
There's some weight in there.
my dumbbell curls, so it was pretty good.
To be fair, like my workout of like the last 2 days consisted of putting together like a box from IKEA So that's about my extended workout as well.
That used to be one of my jobs. I used to work as an IKEA
really?
furniture assembly man. I go around to people's houses and put together furniture.
I mean,
get
it's not bad. It's not a bad
$50
job.
an hour.
I feel like.
It's a pretty good job.
I don't think
fucking
it's a
good at
bad
it.
job. I actually had fun building IKEA shit.
Fuck you guys. I
Had
hate
fun.
that shit.
That's like, I'm
So
with Prof.
annoying.
I've even paid someone to build my new stuff for me because I
Dude,
couldn't
I
bother
like to do
do
it myself.
I
feel
know
like-
that there are people. I had a friend come over one time and it's like, oh, you have this to assemble like this, I don't know, whatever, little thing from IKEA. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll do that. I'm like, don't do it. Like, why would you do it? Yeah, I'll do it. And I just started doing it and just assembled it.
It's fun, man. I
right
like
there.
it.
I'm like,
Doing
okay.
things with your hands is a very gratifying feeling.
Yeah. That's
But
true.
you're assembling
Yep.
IKEA furniture. You're not doing anything real. You're just
mean,
like playing
the-
with big Legos.
The fuck, like
essentially.
what? The thing that I would show you, but it's like behind this little piece of back screen. So I would show you what it is, and that fucking took me like 4 hours, and it's about like.
Is it
it's-
wonky? We're gonna get
Huh?
a spirit level and make
I
sure
mean,
it's completely
IKEA is
perfect.
good. It's easy to assemble, but that Danish piece of shit, Jysk, that is terrible. I hate. Don't ever buy it.
I've never
So bad.
built it. Anyway,
So
we're
bad.
fucking
Danish
off
is
topic.
worse.
Let's
we should
move on.
certainly move on to the next topic, which is a good one actually. It's what to do about Smooya. So obviously Smooya, he benches himself, and I use big quotation marks around that, he benches himself from big, whether he wanted to or not. Obviously he's come out with many statements and he talks a lot, so you never know where this man's going. He's even he's gone back to playing at UK lands. He's there this weekend. I don't know if they actually ended
They
up
won.
winning or
They
not.
did
They
win.
did
They
win.
did win.
Hey, there we
Of
go.
course they did.
So Smooya just carried a bunch of the other guys through potentially. I'd have to go back and watch it all, but either way, he goes back home, he wins, he gets some gratification from it, but where does he go from here? Because he seems to be having some sort of, I don't know if it's a breakdown or not, but telling someone to kill yourself, obviously not the greatest thing to do,
We
no
don't
matter
need
what it is.
we don't need to do anything, James. He's doing it all for himself.
No, he needs help.
No, but here's the
I mean-
thing. How old is Smear? I think he's 18, right?
18 or 19, yeah.
19, I think now.
All right, let's have a gander. He is 19.
He's 19, yeah.
Okay, so let's all sit here in our chairs as adult males like we are. Now, first and foremost, your brain doesn't fully develop until you're 25 years of age. Okay? So if you're out there doing things like getting copiously drunk all the time or taking drugs that you shouldn't be taking and impacting your noggin, I'm not saying Smooth does, I'm just saying anybody who's under the age of 25, you're going to directly impact yourself. So just wait until you're 25 and then you can do whatever you want. Anyway, that was a weird tangent. I
No,
was going
don't
on.
follow that.
But
Yeah, don't.
the point that I'm making here is that Smooya is still. When I was 19, I was dumb. I'm pretty sure when we were all 19, we all made a bunch of dumb decisions. We all did some dumb things. I still make dumb decisions all the time now, but every couple of years, I look back and go, man, I used to be so dumb. Like, what was I thinking? That was so. That was stupid. We're
That's
always.
literally everybody ever.
And here's the problem: Smooya
Not everyone, I think.
Dude, come on.
Smooya's experiencing all these things in life, right? A lot of them, he's probably getting like first-time chances to travel around the world and do this stuff. He got thrown into this team, right? He didn't have like the same general progression because there was no UK scene. So he's learning this stuff on the fly. So I think that obviously he's from a country where they should know the scale on a lot of these things, on what you should and shouldn't say, but it's getting really hard now on what you should and shouldn't say. There's words that we used to just say at school, in high school, in the schoolyard, that like if I said it now on this thing, which to me they're not even bad at all. They're not.
we get banned.
I'd get in trouble for it. So there's so many words that I need to neuter myself from saying. So all in all, this kid, he's obviously a very fiery personality. He has no issue getting stuck in. And he says whatever he's thinking. He doesn't have a filter at the moment. So is he a good player? Yes. Has he, harmed himself by tweeting too much and saying some dumb things? Yes. Does that suck? Yes. But all in all, we can't do anything about it. We're just that's just the way of the world. If I had social media when I was 19 in the same scale that this kid does, with thousands of followers and hundreds of thousands of people watching him, I think that my career would be screwed. Like, I say cunt all the time now and only get away with it because people think we say it all the time in Australia. So,
Well, we do come from two places
Not
that say
true.
it a lot, both UK and Oz.
that's true. But all in all, I
That's
think,
like it's a cultural thing.
It is. Everyone's like, you can
I mean, kind of is, yeah.
you call someone a cunt for fun. Like, it's just bants over here.
I think it's not fantastic. I think if you look at the other side of the coin from the whole situation, watching some of the clips that got uploaded of Refresh in that pug, nobody was in the right frame of mind. But yeah,
The thing that annoys me a shit ton is that obviously, Refresh is now a fan favorite, and Refresh has been picked like 5 times to make next year's HLTV top 20, even though he didn't play anything like he didn't make any deep run into a big tournament. He didn't do literally anything with his career yet. He showed some promise. He's kind of a cool guy. He was here on the show. I like him. Cool guy. Obviously, the way he acted in that game wasn't really professional either. And he got 0 flag. Literally 0. I mean, obviously, after the video came out, like the full video with all the clips, some people were kind of on Smooya's side. But how it all developed, it was just hating on Smooya because obviously he is kind of an annoying guy and people get irritating by that. But I think it was just like so off balance, the things that it was just annoying to me, honestly. And as well, the whole thing that happened, like the Twitch clip from Lobanisa stream, was obviously a private conversation. It's not like he came out and just tweeted, "Kill yourself, you're a piece of shit."
Yeah.
It was like he made out of tweets like, don't waste my time, don't play FPL if you're not going to be playing. I think that tweet is completely fine. Literally wasted people's time just by throwing the game. Other than that, obviously what he said in the game is just people get upset and say stuff. I don't think it was like a real whatever threat, insult that he really wanted someone to kill himself. Obviously that was a gross exaggeration, and people just, as you said, Sponge, some words are really off limits nowadays. So,
But how do you feel about Apex Legends?
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
I don't care.
Get out of
if
my
you wanna
fucking face,
play.
please.
Yeah, but I say I'll play. I'm down. I've got wins. I'm owning.
Yeah. Let's not,
That's a whole different story, though.
Let's not talk about that, please.
Why are you so triggered?
Obviously, I said to people that they should play CS 12 hours a day, and that they should never play anything else, because that is my command, and I'm God, and I'm commanding them
Dude,
what
that
they can
blew
and
up.
cannot
That
do.
blew up so much as
But
well.
that right there is the proofs in the pudding about what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
The fact is that people will grab a statement and they'll build an argument that they can win from the statement instead of actually looking at the context. So the Smooya thing, obviously, this is another with the public outrage, and we've seen this before. Obviously, like we had the Freakazoid Simple incident that went
that
down.
actually brought to my mind as well, yeah.
These things always crop up, right? And look, if half of the things that happen behind closed doors were being, now you can't do
God.
fucking anything, man. Social media everywhere, people recording at fucking after parties. There's like, man, that's why I don't go to any of that shit anymore. It's too crazy out there. You got people streaming on Twitch all the time. Let's say you accidentally call someone. The actual definition for the word would be slow, but you can't say that word anymore either because people have associated. We changed the definition of gay from happy to meaning homosexual over time. Like, come on, gang. Let's really just think about this a little bit. Like, the world is just losing its mind over everything, so everyone just take a bloody chill pill, and it's all good.
Yeah, this isn't the world we want to live in anymore. Like this, it's going downhill.
I swear to God, I was almost expected you to just include cunts in your little rant. You didn't do it. You disappointed me.
All in all, what about Smooya?
Right? They have to, and I think the next thing for Smooya that we need to look at, right, is where does he go from here, right? Because he's sat on the bench at the moment. I very much doubt he would go back into big.
Yeah,
Where on earth would he fit in? Is it going to North America? Because he's certainly not going to find a UK team to rise up and like, okay, there's potential in the UK scene. There are some players that can maybe make it work together, but history just kind of repeats itself with this sort of thing.
It's just not going to be a top 30 team, right?
Yeah, he said that he wanted to move to NA and then work from there, and he said that he wanted to go into a team where he can be the star player and do whatever he wants, essentially, which I guess he will get a chance sooner or later, maybe not on the top 2-3 teams. I don't think Cloud9 would take him just because Automatic has been insane on the up, so no need for that. Maybe a couple of months ago he could have gotten a chance. Now, no. So yeah, whatever. I don't think this will hamper him a lot. One thing as well, people have been like all of these Smooya incidents in the past 2 weeks. I wasn't on the show last week, so have to add it now. Like people saying that Smooya is a toxic teammate when no one ever mentioned that from his teammates.
Never come up.
Is mega annoying. Like he is just in big, he was just
if he was toxic in big, by the way, he would have gone months ago.
What?
Months ago.
He was getting shit. He wasn't giving shit to other guys. He was just there taking all in because he was fucking up stuff. So I think that's also just something that
It's
I want
really
to just
overblown.
let out.
I was just generally just being biased towards Smuya just based on his personality and whatever, and then people don't really think about what's actually going on. That's the problem, I feel like. There's a lot of people, like I've seen shitloads of comments where they just go, "Oh, Smuya," exactly like you say, "Oh, Smuya is toxic" or whatever and stuff like that. And they just make that opinion, and that doesn't really matter what Smuya does. They'll just stick to it. So that's
Doesn't
the
help him
problem
being
that I
British
saw.
either.
So-
We just get tarnished with that, regardless if they're good
Yeah.
or not. And he is one of them players. He has got the ability.
just
I'm
like
sure
he
he
has that
grows up a bit
personality.
more. Yeah, personality, 100%. We are in a mad world. We are in a mad state of affairs. I'm interested to see where he goes in the future. But any of you guys got predictions before we move on where he might go, where you might see him fit in? You've already kind
It's
of
hard to
crossed
say
off
until the
Cloud9.
major ends. I feel like I think we're gonna be able to speculate a little bit more in like a month's time when the major is over, and we actually can see like how some of these teams do. Like let's say Liquid really shit the bed at the major and realize this is not working.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think it's gonna happen, but whatever. Let's say that happens right now. Cloud9 could potentially like swap some players with Liquid, whatever like that. Like there could be big shifts, or NRG could be one of those teams that change after like a fucking 2 year and a half or however long they've been together. So like
The
that
thing
is just
he-
going to cause
he
a
needs
big
to be the
shift.
main opper of the team. That's the
Yeah.
thing. So maybe if we see like a Wardell from Ghost going up
Yeah.
the ranks, and then like Sir going somewhere
Yeah.
else, and then a hole opens up in a roster. Because now even Complexity, I don't think they'll be changing Shazam. Even maybe if he shits the bed at the major, maybe Complexity instead of Shazam could be an option. Envy, I don't think. I mean, JDM has been their best player, so that doesn't make sense either. United just got Cooper as the opper, so I don't know.
I guess
who's
Rogue
opting
would be
for
maybe an option,
Rogue?
I guess, but
Yeah, they don't have an opper. Who's opting for that team even? I haven't been watching myself.
I actually don't know either.
Yeah, so maybe something like
Not
that.
entirely sure.
Something like that.
It could be, but like the point is, it's going to be one of those like further lower big teams because it's not going to fit into a Liquid or a Cloud9. Potentially, like Energy, let's say Cirque actually makes a move up. It's probably not going to happen, but let's say he does. He probably
I have
could.
to say, like
but
a combo
still.
of Flasha and Smuya would be interesting to see together.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be like BM
One hell of a
all over the
story.
place.
Yeah, that would make some headlines, I'm sure. All right, I want to bring in this top three, guys. You know, it's my favorite part of this
Okay.
top three time, and Sponge has been kind to Professor this time and said that he will go first on it. So my top three that I've given to you guys is top three chokes in CS:GO.
Okay.
So where they've shit the bed, they've dropped the ball, they've made a blunder and gone, we should have had that, we had it in the bag, and we've all fallen apart. It can be just a player in particular, if you've got a really specific moment, or obviously teams in finals and stuff like that, or just not making it. Sponge, take it away.
Oh, bloody Nora.
Yeah, this is a tough one, mate. I'm sorry.
I already have to.
You
I
asked to
already
go
have to.
first. You did this to yourself.
Fuck, top three chokes of all time. Holy shit. Renegades versus Splice at the MLG Columbus qualifier.
Jesus
I think we
Christ.
lost on Cobble. No, it wasn't the MLG Columbus qualifier. It was in the Katowice studios. I don't know who. Anyway, we lost on Cobble. They sucked. I don't know how we lost to those guys. They were so bad.
I know.
Like,
I was there.
oh my
the Horn
god.
That
Sponge
was
to this day
before
by the sounds
Cologne,
of
I
it.
think. That
Oh,
was before
just-
the last Cologne.
Just end everything about my career. Just
Ooh.
just shut it all down. That's such a. How do we lose those noobs? Anyway, let's put that in at number 3.
Splice with a Y, by the way, Lucas.
Let's put that in as number 3. Chokes.
Yeah,
I mean,
Chokes.
it's not like it's a relevant theme right now, so we can give him
That's
Lucas
his
a
saving
pass.
grace. That's his one way out.
Wait, did we add more time? Do we have more than a minute now?
No, it's supposed to be just 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes.
Always been 2
Okay,
minutes.
fair
This
enough.
is really rough to have to think of the biggest chokes of all
Dude, like
time.
the one is fucking obvious.
Yeah. FaZe versus Cloud9.
Oh, well, okay, that's another obvious
FaZe
one.
versus
No.
Cloud9 is my number 1. I need one more.
We need
I've
to
got
get like
one.
a classic Danish joke, but which one? Okay, I got one.
Nah, you know, Chad, you were there. It was recent. He put that as his number 1, Lucas, not number 2 as well, mate.
That was recent. I was there.
Yep.
Oh, Mouse
In
Sports.
America.
Oh, in America. Fuck.
You're on the right line. Mouse
Oh,
Sports.
Liquid Mouse Sports.
There we go. See,
But
I'm
actually-
even helping you.
I actually want to go with Mouse Sports at the minor as my number 1.
Oh, yeah.
I think just the scale of that the scale of that loss comparatively, like in the scope of
What
this
it's
is
done.
this is you starting the year, you're going to win your minor, you know, you're the best players, and it's fucking destroyed that entire team. Excuse me. Yeah, that'll have to do.
But you want that as number one now, rather? You want to swap it
Leave
around?
FaZe Cloud9 as number one. That's
Okay.
because that means every time I talk to Stunner, he's
Dude,
like,
I
yeah, remember
can't
Cloud9
believe you didn't think of one.
Faza versus Cloud9.
Can I go?
Yes, go on, Striker. You
Yeah,
can go
go,
next. Let Prof be last. He's getting some time.
Okay,
Yeah, I got
I'm-
mine. I'm set.
You are?
Look at Prof.
Okay,
He's even
interesting.
smiling with it as well.
Do you want me to go instead?
No, I'm fine. Okay, number 3, Mousepurs versus Quantum Fire.
By the way, remember
On
you're supposed to
trade.
give your reasons for this as well. Yeah.
Huh?
So give me your reasons for this as well, because I've got to choose one of you winning.
Right. Mousepurs against Quantum Fire, losing a train on fucking after 13-2 CT side. They lost 14-1 or 114 on in the second half to QBF at the League Major last year. That was actually at the same. I actually have 2 of the same from the same tournament. That's number 3. Number 2, same tournament. FaZe losing to Cloud9 in the final. I think that was a pretty obvious one. I feel like Prov has to have that one too. Number 1, fucking Liquid to Luminosity and MLG Columbus.
Oh yeah, that was bad. That was real bad.
I mean, that's pretty. I mean, for those of you who can't remember, I think both of them were 15-9. 15.
No, it's 15-6.
Even
on
15-6,
Mirage, and
15-7?
15-9 on Cash, I think.
Oh yeah,
Or the
that's
other way around.
around those lines. Yeah, but 15. Both times Liquid were winning. We're on match point with like 6+ rounds to go to end the match. Both maps to end the map. They lost 0-2 after Luminosity. Then soon after SK, a couple of months later. Obviously, Fallen's team just came back into overtime, won both maps, and made it to the final or the semifinal. I'm just trying to remember. I can't remember if it was quarterfinal or the semifinal, because semifinal was in Cologne, right? So this must have been quarterfinal.
Cologne was the final in
Oh yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just send the list to Lucas because he's obviously struggling.
Yeah, with basic
With writing.
typing skills.
Just give me a second.
Baza versus Cloud9 is a new one.
So, I'm not sure how to order them. Just give me a second.
Wait a second, you got your 2 minutes. You don't get an extra second.
Okay,
Come on,
so
Prof.
I'll
You were
just
so
go-
confident.
I'll go with I'm just sending it to fucking Lucas. That's what's taking time. Okay, give me.
Start
a
his
second.
timer. Run this
Okay.
guy to the ground, Lucas.
So
Just
number
talk as
3.
you're writing.
Number 3, TSM losing to NIP at the Cluj-Napoca Major in the quarterfinals, where they were like mega favorites,
Yes.
and they lost to an Alu NIP, which did more or less nothing, and it was legit not a good team. And they just mega choked, lost on train, which they were like pretty good on, if I remember, and then lost those 2. So that's my number 3. Number 2, Liquid versus Mousesports, and that ESL1 New York final, which they had a giant lead on those 2, should have closed it out, and then just that was a choke. That was a classic
13-4
choke.
or something
I think
like that.
even they said it was a choke.
Oh, at least
want,
even said
like-
in the interview. Yeah.
Like your Liquid Luminosity one is insane, but I didn't remember it, so I didn't want to steal it. And number 1 has to be Mousesports against Quantum Bellator Fire. That is a fucking disgrace of a game. How can that happen? Their T side was so bad. They were literally playing like, I don't know, like literally tier 5 Counter-Strike, just shifting into the B bomb site, peeking one by one. Not a single execute was done. Just like walking and just being so fucking scared, and then force buying Galils all the time. It was disgusting. And they literally fucked the whole major system. They forced Valve to change the rules of the major. That's how big of a choke that was.
Well,
that's
okay,
mine.
but I mean never mind.
They did. Literally, they did. They
Well-
literally allowed QBF to go into the playoffs of a major. I mean,
Well, yeah,
props to
that-
QBF that they did it, but that shouldn't have happened.
It was one of them weird ones, right? All right, so you guys are giving your top 3. Oh, the problem with this is some of your points I agree with, guys, and I'm like, yep, I agree with it on majority, but I never agree with all 3 decisions. Now it's
So
a picking
okay,
point.
just
Do we
say
have
yours
polls?
then.
Do we have
Just
polls
if you
for the
should,
chat?
if you had to combine us 3, right? So what would it be? What would yours be?
Well, I would 100% have Mouse in the minor. That needs to be in there.
Okay.
I would have the. This is where it gets tough.
I feel like FaZe Cloud9 has to be there though.
Yeah,
Like, it feels like
because you both
It's
said
a
it as well.
it's
so
a
it makes
major
sense.
final. Like that's a fucking huge
Yeah.
joke.
Let's put FaZe versus Cloud9 second, then the mine and Mouse Sports third, and then the Mouse Sports QBF one because it was just such a like what the fuck, and I'll take one from pretty much all of you.
Oh, we have a poll in the chat, so 1, 2, 3.
Oh really?
Oh, here we
Punch
go.
1, Striker 2, I'm 3. Why am I 3?
Well, I will pick the winner, and then we'll see what the results were. I'm gonna give it to Chad this time, and I just think the whole thing with your Renegades versus Splice thing, and how much it was just the thought process that was going through Chad's head. You can see him crumbling as he was remembering what went down. The Mouse Sports and the Minor one is 100%, and obviously we all agree on the FaZe versus Cloud9 in some way. So Chad gets the trophy this time. Where does that put us in like leaderboards here?
I think we've got 1-1-1.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
we
we
all
all
won
All right, we've managed to keep it fair across the board. Let's find out from Twitch chat once everyone stops spamming their numbers. Ooh.
I mean, a lot of twos there. I see a lot of twos.
All right, so Striker wins the popularity contest on Twitch at least.
Yeah, popularity
Yeah,
contest.
that's what it is. He wins it
We
by
heard
a mile
hard hitting
as well.
analysis.
Holy shit, that's a lot. How much is that? I can't see much.
You won by
74%. Holy shit.
74%. Yeah, 74%.
It kind of reminds me of that Big
Easy.
Stacy signature.
Huh?
Just the.
Oh,
Never
that.
mind.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, we sorry, it's Chad that wins. I'm down with Chad. I based it on what they say and what reasons they give more so than whether it is down to actually the choking. But
Fair
let's
enough,
move on
fair
to
enough.
our big topic, guys, and this is before we get to our major pick'ems. It's the new challenger stage. Now, it's only a couple of days away. It is going to get very interesting, and I guess should we look at this from like a point of okay, which teams we think absolutely have to make it, which teams are kind of the underdogs, which kind of the dark horses, where we think this is going, because I personally want to see some more ENTS action and watch some of these teams that sat onto this challenger spot get bullied around a little bit.
Is there any chance we have the rankings that were made by YNKLLBT last time? Any chance we can bring that
Ooh.
back? I guess not.
That'd
But
be good. We're asking too much.
I think
Lucas,
that'd be-
probably last minute.
Production is.
Look, I
falling,
might be asking
literally.
too much of the production, but it just popped into my head just to compare it to the actual ranking that the teams put together.
The ranking is, for those playing at home, Fnatic, NRG, Cloud9, NIP, ENTS, Vitality, G2, Avantgarde, Renegades, Vega Squadron, Tyloo, Spirit, Furia, Greyhound, Windstrike, and Vici. And I think that there's a lot of grey area teams, especially the Tyloos, the Vegas of the world, where we didn't really know where to place them too much. But I think like the top 6, they were that in some way that was our top 6. The Renegades, Avantgarde, G2, they're like floater teams, and then we were expecting that the Vichis, the Greyhounds. I'm surprised Windstrike is so low too, like under Greyhound. I don't understand how Greyhounds come in at 14th.
Yeah, I'm
Not
pretty
that it
surprised about
matters,
that one too. But I mean, generally it's pretty sensible though. I feel like energy might be a little bit too high.
NRG?
Number 2, yeah. I feel
NRG
like
for
I
me
would.
are the best team of the
I was
tournament.
about to say
Literally,
NRG
like-
should just kind of cruise that, right?
I don't know how.
Adam.
If I put Fnatic and NRG head to head in a best of 7 on all the maps for $1 million, I think NRG would win.
The thing is, like, I can
That's
see
fair.
it from like one by one, like them being able to beat everyone or being somewhat favored against everybody.
Who would you
But-
put ahead of NRG? I don't get it.
I
Like,
probably
on-
would have.
On
I
the
probably
term,
would have.
on the basis of what?
I probably would have put Fnatic. I mean, the problem
Fnatic
is with
ahead
it.
of them, though.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they're definitely ahead. I don't know. I was thinking about an IP at first, but then again, like what you were saying, that's the problem. Like they haven't really played anything for about 2 months, so that's the issue with that, I guess. So I guess it is pretty justified for them to be number 2 at this point.
I think just approaching these 16 teams, we should just go and say which teams we are pretty sure that will make it through,
Yeah.
which won't, and then we should talk about those in the middle.
Yeah, the
because
50-50s.
It doesn't
or
make sense
something.
to talk about like Fnatic, NRG. I think those are locked in. ENTS we talked about a lot, so those 3 are
Yeah.
out for sure. NIP I don't know, and then we have like Vici, Greyhound maybe that we're not expecting to do much, and then the rest is like kind of
You-
open hunting.
You can eliminate teams straight away knowing it's going to be a best of 3 to get through, right? Like if you get yourself in any situation where it's a Windstrike, a Spirit, a Vega Squadron, or an Avantgarde in a
Vici.
best of 3 situation to get through against one of the bigger names, they're not going through. Vici and Greyhound, their map pools are fucking, they're tiny. We're not even going to worry about those guys. The other teams flirt a bit more with other maps, right? And occasionally they can play. If you're allowing these teams here to be picking into Mirages and shit when you know that they're first banning, they're going to have to... They're not playing Nuke, bro. If you're not a Nuke team, right? You can float that motherfucker. Just leave that bad boy there. Just get rid of Mirage, take it somewhere else. Don't think because you got the fucking Kenny S in your team, you're going to be able to beat Vega Squadron on Mirage. Let me give you the hot fucking tip. It's not happening. So I think that as long as teams play their vetoes smart, that you're knocking out a big chunk of those bottom boys straight away. Greyhound's out, Vici out, Windstrike out. Fury I have a bit of hope for because they're going to geek it real hard, but they could potentially crumble. With those pockets that you spoke about, do you want to go... I guess the pick'em thing is going to be quite clear on all that stuff. So do we want to just mold the two? Because we spoke a lot about...
That's what I said about it, yeah. Put them together, they
guess we could
one.
speak about the opening matchups and then we could do the pick'em.
Yeah, let's do that, sure. Well, we're partially already mentioning it in the betting segment, but yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, it is starting Fnatic, Vici, Energy, Windstrike, and those are the best of ones. I think we can go fairly... And Cloud9, Greyhound, those are the 3 I think are set in. We're not going to be expecting an upset there. And then it gets kind of murky. NIP, Furia, I think that's the game that I went for the Brazilians to start with an upset. They definitely need to start like hot to get into this one. I don't think going down to like 0-2 and then fighting back is going to be an option. Ents against Spirit, that's also a pretty straightforward one, but this Vitality Tyloo match.
Vitality Tyloo, I feel like
no
is the one
idea
that...
what's going to be going
That's
on.
The problem with Tyloo is just like
fun.
we haven't seen this new lineup play. That's basically the extent of it.
Them and MIBR are the only 2 teams who have not seen the current iterations of their lineup. Obviously, the MIBR one we saw before, but since they've got back together, Tyloo and MIBR are the 2 teams we will have not seen play a single game before they play in the major, which is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
I think actually that I wasn't on the show last time when you were talking about them. You kind of put them very low on the rankings. They actually ended up a bit higher here. They ended up 11th. I think you put them like around like 13th or something.
They basically ended up above. They basically ended up above those teams that like everybody thought that we're not going to make it.
Yeah, I think they're actually going to be better with this lineup, even though they don't have that much time. I don't think they're literally a team that needs that much time. They're just playing pretty basic CS.
Yeah,
and like, okay, just Captain Mo as a player, never rated him. In this like last year, he really wasn't doing that much, and they got like 2 good old Chinese players that we know can play the game pretty well on a decent level. I think they're just going to be like slightly better. So I think they're still like a top 16 in the world material, potentially. Maybe on the top 20, like fringe, something like that.
I think, right, looking at these matchups here, I think I've lost them. I'm fucking too many tabs and shit. I've lost my point as well. Yeah, fuck.
What did you want to know?
I had a point. Do you guys remember the tweet from Jonta about they were upset about the prac room situation? Like, oh, you can't provide it for 3 extra days.
Yeah.
So that means to me that they're probably not practicing in Europe right now. And first of all, that whole situation was actually the fault of the people not knowing the information, because if you sorted out with ESL, I believe you would have had to have paid, but you could have stayed in that facility from the minors and you could have gone straight away if you were one of the challenger teams. I'm pretty sure G2 did, to use it for 2 weeks in boot camp in the same environment that your prac room is going to be in for the entirety of that first stage, right? So any team that wanted to do that, they could have if they had organized it, and the teams who did were Renegades, Furia, Greyhound, Spirit, G2, Cloud9 and Fnatic. As per my sources. So with that in mind,
those are the teams that stayed, or what you were talking
those
about?
Are the teams that are using. Those are the teams that are
early.
using. So Renegade stayed, Greyhound stayed, Furia stayed. There was no point for those guys to go home. It's so fucking far, right? So those are the teams who stayed. So for Tyloo, it's going to be such a shock, right? I guess they're going to have to play. They're not going to get that same look. When you play Counter-Strike at this level and you're from a smaller region, the thing is, you get punished for mistakes you can get away with. Like in Australia, I'm fucking wide peak and everything. I don't give a fuck. I'm not getting punished. Like, I just run around like an absolute moron back when I used to play.
But this could also catch teams off guard, though.
True, but a team like Vitality, where actually, yeah, maybe, because they're trying to play super cookie cutter at the moment. They're trying to play like strat bases. So yeah, in that matchup, with that considered, that could be the catching them off factor. So that that's a 50-50. I think Ents versus Spirit in a best of one. I'm leaning towards Ents, but I think Spirit has upset potential if they can get it to one of their home maps. NIP versus Furia. Ugh.
I don't know. I don't see it, dude. Even despite NIP not playing anything for 2 months, they are the type of a team who would just like hunker down and just practice a lot before a major. They just have that sort of mentality, so I feel like they will be ready.
Didn't someone tell me like Dennis is
Unless there's
tweeting
something I don't
about Apex Legends all the time, that he's addicted to the game or something like
fuck.
that? Someone tweeted that.
No.
I didn't see that.
Oh please.
I haven't
Massive.
seen much from the NIP camp actually in a while. I feel
I
like.
know. Get playing a lot of FPL. He's just.
Well, I
bugging
mean,
it
Get
out.
Right is just gonna
Keep
fucking
himself
put in
Get Right
insane
is
amounts of
Get-
time because he's Get Right.
No
But I'm
doubt.
not. But the problem is like it hasn't been doing him that much good. That's the issue. But like generally, just an IP as a whole, I feel like are a team that's not gonna underestimate practice before a major, whatever it is about Apex Legends and shit. I just feel like they're not the type of a team who would just underestimate the practice that's necessary.
Is it simple to say that the first three teams, like the first three seeded teams, are all winning their opening games? Like I
Yes.
see
Yeah.
it's so difficult to see Fnatic, NRG, or Cloud9
Yeah.
lose their opening
Maybe
matches.
Greyhound wins against Cloud9.
That
Who knows?
look that because Cloud9, I think
I'd be
like,
surprised. Very
I
surprised.
would be
Cloud9 looked a
surprised.
lot better than we thought. We
Those-
all sat there and were like, "What is this?"
those first three matchups for me are like 85% locks, like
Yeah.
85% wins.
Agreed.
The Ninjas in Pajamas versus Furia one. I'm leaning NIP, but it's like a 65-35, I guess.
Can we take a moment and just talk about how much Cloud9's like this was a player-made ranking, and how much Cloud9's ranking just jumped because of that E-League
Yeah, that's
tournament
true.
that happened. Like, they finished second and they beat FaZe once, and all of the maps were pretty close. So theoretically, they could have ended like fourth, and then they would be ranked in these rankings like 8 or something.
You
Who knows?
know what is unique though? If you look at the HTV.org rankings right
Well,
now,
they are.
the teams
That
that
is-
include exactly. It goes Fnatic 5, NRG 6, Cloud9 7. So as
NIP 10.
yeah,
as the next one.
and Ents coming in at 12. So
It is very, very, very similar. Vitality Renegades are a little bit. The Renegades are the lowest, like compared to their ranking. They're actually 9th, even though they should be 6th, right below Ents, because Vitality is right after that. It's actually very close to the ranking.
I think this G2 ranking is kind of outrageous, putting them ahead of Avangard, who have been playing like heads up CS for the last 3 months.
I think it's the name value getting a
Yeah,
bit higher.
yeah,
for
yeah,
rank,
yeah.
man.
And that's the
Yeah.
problem with these like player-made rankings, though. I feel
They
It's
will be biased towards
Avangard,
bigger
they're,
names,
They're
yeah.
like that. I don't know. I just
mean,
feel like
I'd probably. Yeah, it's hard.
Look. If you swapped G2 and Avangard around, they still play each other in the opening game, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
it
true.
doesn't really matter.
That is true.
No, wait.
I
They would
mean,
have to be
that's-
Renegades and Avangard positions. So it'd have to be G2.
No, it's
8
Avangard
and-
Renegades. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so it'd have to be them 8 and 9 for them to play against each other. But those
The
three
thing-
teams, that period of teams there, that's not so bad. G2 could have to play Vega, who I think they probably lose to as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, even if it's like 1 or 2 positions up or down, doesn't make a big change. Like, the biggest difference between this and the last ones is that you don't have someone like who came in from the minor. Like, Ents would be ranked in the bottom 8 just because they came from the minor,
Yeah.
just based on the previous
Yeah.
series of the major. So
I mean, Vitality,
those
same
things, those things not happening is the biggest plus of these rankings.
Yeah, I mean, it's just very, very sensible. Like the teams that we really don't expect much from. I feel like Winstrike is the odd one out a little bit. I would have put them above Greyhound at least, potentially. Well, no, not above Furia, because they've actually been looking pretty good. But Winstrike are probably the only one that I would disagree with, just because of how poorly Greyhound and Vici look compared to them. I actually would put Winstrike more towards the 50-50 of like if they could be on the cusp of going through. If they don't meet too many of the great teams, but that's also going to be a problem with this new ELO rating. That's that you're not going to get easy ways through as they did at the E-League Major last year.
Yeah. Can we look at the pick'ems and then take it from there? I guess to see
Yes.
who's gonna.
I'm sure there'll be a
Yeah.
lot of discussion when it comes to that. So let's move on to those pick'ems. So we're gonna be kind of deciding this amongst ourselves, right, and seeing what we can come on to and where we think all of it's gonna go.
Yeah. I just hope I'm not going to crash because I have so much shit open, but it should be fine.
The processing power. Production will get it ready. We'll see.
Let's see, going into the game, getting that.
Why does it take at 5 correct predictions? Why does it have to be 5?
That's how it
There
works
you go.
now. You need to get at least 5 in every.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
to get that
otherwise
diamond
you don't get
shit.
point. Oh, that thing. Oh yeah, right.
Just
There's,
before we go into this, let me state this because it's really important from my position as a full-time analyst on the broadcast of the game. Predictions are literally worthless, ladies and gentlemen, boys and
Yeah.
girls. What you actually want to do when analyzing a game is build an argument for the reason you think that somebody will win. Now, just picking A and B off of name value or gut feeling is not actually doing analysis. What doing analysis is diving deep into the play styles, the individuals, the practice, all the different bits and pieces that go on with Counter-Strike so that you can actually make a guess, or what we would call it is a guesstimation or an estimation on what the most likely outcome would be. So if I had Astralis going up against, I don't know, the likes of Mousesports, and I backed up every reason why Astralis is better than Mousesports, and then Mousesports win in an upset victory, that's an upset victory. That's not me making a bad prediction. That's Mousesports playing well or Astralis playing poorly. So just keep your fucking brain switched on because predictions mean nothing, you muppets. All right, let's do it.
There you go.
Can you tell me how tilted you are just with every
Yeah.
production forcing predictions to be a part of the show? Like, what is the benefit from that?
We change it
why?
now.
It's
just-
We
I think
change
it's-
it. We
the
change
problem-
it to.
okay.
We with a lot of productions like I do it for, we change it to like winning conditions, like
Yeah,
winning
yeah.
factors as opposed to like hard prediction. But what they want to do with predictions, or at least the standpoint, is because a lot of viewers, let's say you're not a huge Counter-Strike aficionado,
Yeah.
if me, the expert, says that this team's meant to win and this team's meant to lose, and then that's wrong, basically you're putting your faith in me as an expert that I'm giving you the most likely outcome. So for them, it's easier to digest an
Basically
upset
managing
victory.
expectations.
Exactly.
right?
right.
But that you can just use like odds from betting companies.
Well,
or
of
you
course
use
you can, but-
Pick'ems or whatever.
But on
get
the
that.
stream, it's an official stream, right? The organizer wants the viewers to be informed as much as
I mean,
possible,
there's
right?
always a betting sponsor anyway.
Well, I mean, I guess not with the
They're
majors.
literally bring a person and all of his knowledge down to like 1 or 0. It's retarded.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the point though in what Sponge was saying is that like for the viewers that don't really follow CS as much, it's important to know like heading into watching a match, and as somebody who doesn't really know too much about the game, I know this from watching other games every now and again. I just like hop into whatever like a game of Dota at the International just to see how it works, how it looks, how the broadcast looks, whatever. And I have no idea what the teams are like, right? I don't know any of the players. And for me, it's kind of important to see like which team is the favorite to win without looking anywhere externally, right? So the predictions are actually good in that. The problem is a lot of the talent don't take them seriously in this sense, so they confuse the viewer that whatever they pick based on bias that doesn't have anything to do with actual merit. And that just confuses these viewers that for whom these predictions are actually made. So that's the problem that I have with predictions, is just that people don't take them seriously enough and just pick based on like absolutely no reasoning at all.
In
And
the
that's
past,
the issue.
StarLadder give us a lot of freedom, like when we do the broadcast, right? So in the past, like I've been like flipping coins or spinning bottles or like
Exactly, yeah.
just doing nonsense like that, because there are people who like, and these are the morons of the internet, and a lot of you are out there, and a lot of you are watching right now. You're the people who, once we make a prediction on the broadcast, like especially if you watch like a very snippy TV broadcast where you don't get a chance to justify. It's like, oh, what's your prediction? Oh, okay. Like the
Yeah, we
whole
get
way
rushed.
the whole way it should work is like you should first of all present the teams. Then once you present the teams, obviously it depends on the flow. The majors are a little bit different, obviously, with the vetoes, this, that, and the other. And the whole system, the way that they do it in the actual game. So there's no like, the production doesn't know 10 to 20 minutes before like they would in some other tournaments. It's happening live, so you can't have as many assets on hand. Don't get me started on all this stuff. It's before. Anyway, the point of all this is analysis is actually about making sure you're building a case on why the expert thinks, right? Like, and if it's just as simple as, oh, well, this guy's the better player, that's bad analysis. Like,
Yeah.
that's not actually looking as to why. Like, you actually, anyway, let's do the fucking pick'ems before I tilt.
Yeah, you're going to be going
There you go.
downhill spiral before you get into the major, mate.
We were talking about Fnatic Energy and Cloud9 being locks, right? So which one of them though has the biggest chance of going 3-0 though? I feel like it has to be either
they're
Fnatic or
locks
Energy.
for the first match. I didn't say
Oh,
they're
well,
locks
okay,
to go
fair
through.
enough. Okay, fair enough.
Okay,
who-
so if
who
we
would you say?
establish, let's do this. If we establish right now all the teams we think who are most likely to win their opening games, like if we, and then from
Well,
there
it's-
we can kind
okay.
of work out the way
Sure.
the elo is going to flow, right?
But I mean, so okay, the first three we said were locks: Fnatic, Energy, Cloud9, NIP, pretty heavy ends as well.
Ents, I would
Ends
say
against
win.
Spirit, was
Yeah,
it? Yeah,
Ents
Ents
win.
against Spirit.
Vitality.
Vitality, Tyloo, that's the odd one, but still Vitality should be favored just based on them actually playing something, showing
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
G2
throw
against
them in
Vega.
down in the to go through the thing, so we can kind of.
So should I just
track.
okay? Let's just. I'm just gonna keep track of these like this. These are not the picks, right? We're just gonna do. Right. Oh nope. Vitality. So and then you have G2 against Vega
And Renegades vs Avangard.
and Renegades versus Vanguard. Yeah.
Well, those don't really matter, right? Like we could probably go, like let's just say G2 win and Avangard win. They're the higher seeds, right?
Yeah, they are.
Okay, so then your next matchup
We
is
just picked
another.
the higher seeds at this point, basically. Yeah.
But then your next matchups would be best of one. So like in that case, you would assume it would be Fnatic versus. I don't know how the
Like
elo is going to work.
or an avant-garde. or something
Exactly
like that.
right. So
Or maybe an upset team from the lower.
I mean,
bracket.
it would be basically would be like Fnatic to Vanguard probably.
yeah,
And
Energy
Energy,
G2.
G2, Cloud9, Vitality, Nip, Ents. Nip, Ents, I feel like that's just 50-50, so I wouldn't pick either of them.
No.
I definitely wouldn't pick anybody aside from the top three.
I'm gonna go. I'm
me,
really
for-
confident in Energy.
Yeah,
Yeah, for me it's
I'd
Fnatic
go
or
for
Energy.
NRG for the 3-0.
You are
honestly.
okay. I'm not confident enough in Fnatic, so I'm just gonna go with it. I feel like
I think Fnatic is a team that drops maps here and there.
yeah,
Just because.
that's yeah, sure.
I mean, obviously, NRG can also drop maps.
Yeah,
but they're
Energy.
just kinda-
The thing is, like, I don't feel confident enough in any of these teams. Like, I wouldn't look at any of these teams and say, okay, they're gonna 3-0 this. They're gonna be.
The one
It's
thing that
gonna
gives
be
me
easy
hope
for
with
them.
NRG going 3-0 as well, it's just how they took on the minor and they weren't going to let anything get out
Yeah.
their way, right? So let's just go with that full confidence. You're still
Sure.
going up against
But this
teams
is
that
this
should
is
be
a
able
very
to
different
beat.
level, right? Though.
Before 1,000 viewers leave because we have G2 to go through, can we just remove them from going through?
So who's coming last? Is it Greyhound or is it Vici?
Vici.
I would say Vici. Yeah.
Yeah, Greyhound has still got chances to
I'd
get
put
a
Vici.
chance, right? I think it's just straight.
I think
Vici,
it's-
you
it's a
did
such
well.
a
I think it's
you
both.
looked good, but it's I'd say the weaker of the two.
Yeah.
thing is, like,
I mean,
I
I would put Vici. I'm not
If we
Yeah.
go for Greyhound, it's going to be because Vici had those wins over North. which
exactly. I mean,
I'm
yeah.
not sure how much we can really take away from there. But the plus for me on Vici's side is like Freeman being insane.
That's true.
And on Greyhound, you don't really have someone of that caliber.
So, but when the
But
best
you
of
have-
ones happen, right? What like if going
Yeah.
off what we just established from all the winners, now we should do with the losers, right? So the
Yeah.
losers of that would be in order of seeds. I guess it would be the other way around. So it'd be Renegades would be the highest, then
Yeah.
it would be Vega, Tyloo, Spirit, Furia, Greyhound, Windstrike, and Vici, right? So it'd be Renegades versus Vici. Well, I'm going to be completely honest here. There is a world where Renegades get upset by Vici. Like that's a world that I live in. That's a world where I
Still the
exist.
best of one
Okay.
though as well. So yeah,
Fair
Literally
enough.
anyone can go 3 from this like lower part.
Well,
when you say that they go up against
But
Renegades,
you have
it
to
makes
take
you
into
think.
account the last game is a best of 3.
That's true. So in a best of 3, who has a deeper map pool, Greyhound or Vici?
Greyhound.
Only just.
Yeah.
Like,
By the
I
bare
don't even know.
bones.
Yeah.
The thing is, at times, right, when we watch Greyhounds go up against Renegades, they looked like, oh,
It's going to be
this is
someone
good,
like
this is
Spirit,
positive.
though.
what?
Spirit,
Like,
Furia, Greyhound,
Spirit can
Tyloo.
go 3. Like,
Spirit
who's
can
sold
go
on
3?
Spirit here? Like, no one, literally.
But they've got Sumdai Young.
Some do die young.
Well,
I'm up for whatever you say.
Like, it's not gonna be a bad choice. I feel like between the two.
just fuck it, put Vici. It feels like a safe bet.
Yeah. Same.
Alright.
What do you say, Banks? You up for Vici? You want to
Yeah, I was the
spice
one that
it
said
up?
Vici from the start.
Okay.
I got more faith in Greyhound.
Okay. So now
I
let's
don't-
go.
the thing is,
into
I have little faith in either of them. I just don't know. It's a toss up for me.
I
Actually.
honestly-
I'm not
it's
saying
gonna
I've
be
got loads
like
of faith in both of them. I just said I got more faith in Greyhound.
Yeah,
You could both get 0-3, right?
I think so.
There you go. Well,
All
if
depends how it works out.
if Greyhound gets 0-3, I'll get Valve on the phone and we'll fix it.
Okay.
That's going to be used against them.
Okay. Let's go to these other teams.
I'm just gonna remove them then.
Okay.
All of these are fine. I
Yeah,
think
but
all
say
of those are
Fnatic
fine.
has to stay there.
Fnatic is, yeah, Fnatic, I mean, the top three
Fnatic-
we were saying.
Fnatic, Cloud9, Ents, you're all going through, no problem.
So these I feel like are pretty obvious.
Yeah.
These five I feel like are pretty obvious, and then as we go further, that's the gray area.
Yes.
That's the
G2
ones-
are never making it out. They're
Oh,
done. This
I'm
is the
not sure,
last.
man. Like,
no, don't
among
do
this-
this, Striker. Don't do it.
Among these type of teams, though,
I
I
use
could
my
see it.
I use my pick for Avangar.
Ooh.
I don't have a pick.
Can we
because
wait? Can we
three
do
slots
this?
and four
Can we
of
do
us.
this? Remove
Yeah.
remove ninjas in pajamas. Remove
Okay.
NIP. Get them out of there. I don't have faith in them.
Nope.
Right?
Okay.
We're, get them out of here. All right. So I think
I'll
Fnatic,
just put
Cloud9,
them-
Move
and
Ents up
Ents.
then. Give Ents this little third place. I like this.
Yep.
I like
I
the-
think
like
I
the-
think they're locks. I think those three right there are locks. So
Yeah.
now with four
Yeah.
more, we can all have a pick here.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm picking Avangar.
Avangar.
Why, Prof? Give us the breakdown.
They have been in decent form for the last couple of months. They have a good star player. They know how to work around him, put him in great positions. Actually, he calls for the team now again. It was Kicker.
Yeah.
Now it's
It's-
back on him. So
the thing
he
is, like-
calls for himself.
I had an interview with Kicker at the minor when they actually qualified, and he was talking about how they switch like basically every couple of weeks. So God fucking knows what it's gonna be at the major. Like it might have been.
Whatever it is, they always play more or less the same, and it kind of
Yeah, that's true.
revolves around the
Jim.
hopper. So
Yeah,
and like decent map pool, not the greatest, but they play like the classic maps everyone plays. So I think they have more than all of these teams that are left here. Maybe an IP and Vitality, but it's just my pick. So
I'm not sure about Vitality. I'm still not. I'm
Yeah,
on the
Vitality
fence
for
about
me is-
Vitality. Like Zewu, of course, is a massive. Like he's probably gonna be the best player of the tournament at or that stage, or like one of the.
Yeah, that's the
Maybe not the best player because you have like people like Automatic or like Crims. Yeah, exactly. So you have those people, but he's gonna be in that rank of players, right? But the team as a whole, like he would have to fucking carry them a lot. I feel like for them to be like one of the locks.
They've got a
There-
wide map pool though, so if they end up
That's
in
true.
one of their last two games, I think that they could have an advantage over one of the teams who's had low map pools.
And
They-
they did win some like online thing recently against like these kind of caliber teams. What was it actually? I'm just gonna check. While
I mean, they're also gonna have like
Mount
the.
Julie.
no, it was
No,
we
we
play
play,
Lock and
yeah.
Load.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
beat Hellraisers 2-0, Optic 2-0.
Did you say Vitality stayed there or not?
I don't think so. Let me recheck the list of my spies. Fucking hate. There's way too many ways to communicate. Can we just get rid of half the shit in the world?
Agreed.
Discord,
WhatsApp, Discord,
WhatsApp,
fuck Skype.
Skype. Just
Fuck Skype. We don't even talk about
Facebook
Skype
Messenger,
anymore, do we? Does it even
No.
exist? Is it a real thing?
fuck it all.
It's just covered in viruses.
Renegades, Furia, Greyhound, Spirit, G2, Cloud9, and Fnatic. So
Yeah,
no
Vitality
Vitality.
didn't stay.
Fanatics is already there. Look at those boys
Yep.
getting ready
Keen.
for the major.
Good one.
Keen. Oh,
I like
so-
hearing that. Okay, I mean,
Oh,
I'm
the
just
next pick.
gonna go with the safe fucking choice, safest. I feel like, and that's an IP. I just based on what we were already
God
talking
damn
about.
it. I was hoping that we could leave them out of there.
No, I'm not gonna do it just because
We can still convince Striker otherwise before we lock
you
him
can
in.
you can try,
Striker-
but it's not gonna
if
work.
Striker didn't pick him.
Look,
Of course, he's
Give-
a
give
Get
me-
Right Forest
The
fanboy.
thing is,
So biased.
give me a better choice. That's where that you're.
Okay, when we
confident in.
finish, I'll convince you.
Yeah, let's go for that. You guys. So who's missing, right? That's Banks and Sponge.
Yeah. This is where it gets tough because
That's what I'm saying. Like
I
you
see
don't
in
have
a
a
world
clear
where
choice.
Vitality get through, right? But like you guys are saying, there's so many blunders that can happen. It just takes one game where, like, they don't.
Also,
frag
we're
out.
not sure about how much they're gonna switch around. Alex was still in like old positions.
Yep.
So, like that's the problem that I have with Vitality. Like, I'm sure they're gonna be prepared, but it's like a lot of factors that I'm not entirely sure about. They also haven't really faced this kind of competition on land. They've only been at the minor. Sure, they played there and beat like some of the good teams there, but it's not like they beat like a top 10 teams or whatever.
Who have we
So
got
it's-
left? Right, we've got Vitality, G2, Renegades, Vega,
Vega, Tyler,
Tyloo,
Spirit, Furia.
Spirit,
Great.
Fury. Alright, I'm gonna go out on a fucking whim then for mine. I think Tyloo will do it somehow,
Tyloo?
some way. Yeah, somehow,
Okay.
some way those cunts managed to get it done.
Like
time and
I was
time again.
about before I picked Taipei, I was about to pick Vega just because of the Vega factor.
Yeah, but that's what I put the same thing under Tyloo. Tyloo and
Yeah,
Vega in that
okay.
same like crazy bit where you just go, yep, they rock for a
But
bunch
for
of games.
the
And
thing
if
is, like,
Tyloo were trying new maps last time we looked at them, right? Okay, not the same roster, but they were trying to play around it. If they keep that mentality up, I see a world where they will get through.
Jeez. These are also my picks. Fuck me.
You don't have to lock them in, mate.
All right.
No, that's-
We
No,
can
I'm gonna
screenshot
lock
this.
them.
Yeah?
I'm gonna
We
lock
can
them in. Fuck
screenshot
it.
this, and we'll keep it.
Fuck it,
and
I'll
we'll
lock it.
see.
I'm
don't care.
positive. I'm pretty positive that Spirit, Greyhound, and Windstrike aren't going to make it. Furia is like an X factor just due to their playstyle, but they'd have to do it in 3. I can't see them getting through.
We're forcing Sponge to pick the boys, though.
No, I'm leaning. Look, the thing is, I have a new rule. I don't pick them anymore. Every time I pick them,
not
they
that
lose.
new, is it?
It's not that new. I've been using it for a while now. But I genuinely think Vitality's approach just to the game and that kind of stuff is it's good. Like I like what they've been doing. There's always it's gonna be that match. It's gonna be fucking G2 versus Vitality for the final spot.
Yeah,
Kenny
exactly.
versus Zywoo. Sorry, I'm not going to pronounce it incorrectly. It's going toe to toe. It's a 1v1. They've both got the AWP, and Zywoo jumps, spinning 360 no scopes, headshot Kenny S through 6 walls. It's game over, and the French go wild. I'm going to go with Vitality.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
You know what? No, fuck it. I'm not gonna do it.
You wanted to put in
there's too
Vega
much-
instead of NIP?
Yeah. I wanted to, but the problem is like you fucking already picked Tyloo, which is the one that I would fucking put Vega instead of. That's the one. This is.
But that's
okay,
what it was for me. It
compared
was
to-
literally Vega or Tyloo.
But like, I'm just gonna keep this for a second, right? So there's just people can see what we actually picked.
We can talk a bit.
We can still talk. I'm not sure what happens when I lock it though. That's the thing. I mean, I guess. Okay,
Just
this happens.
We're not-
Fair enough.
Oh no!
No!
Yeah,
Update him,
that's
right,
done.
update him.
But I mean, I think I can still change it though. That's the thing. I can still change it. I can do whatever. But I'll just
okay.
keep it this way. Fuck it.
Okay.
I think it just
I mean,
locks whenever whenever the tournament starts.
I like that we picked Tyloo. So that's what I
course
want to
you
do
would.
with your NIP pick is say like we have to take one underdog. One underdog has to go through,
Yeah.
even though more
What is
best of
that?
threes. So
Look,
and the
to be
Seagull
fair though,
system
like
and everything.
out of the top 8, G2 are definitely the one that I would not that I'm the least confident in. Like
Of
that's
course they don't
100%
need
for
to
me.
Make me look like a fool.
No, I mean, I like look. Sure, they're one of the 50-50s as we were talking about. Like this kind of middle of the ground teams. We were talking about them being like kind of the gray area, and that's like they can still make it through. I could see it happen. It's just like they out of those teams, out of the top 8, they're definitely the one that I'm least confident in.
Yeah. It's also with this new ranking, they're only going to have to winning against some pretty decent teams to actually go through. So I don't know. Whoever goes through is going to be mega legit, I feel like.
Yeah, I think this new system, right, that gets rid of all the gatekeepers in a way, right? I think a couple of other things that we need to factor in here is we do still have some teams who are in the top 8 right now in the next stage who are going to get filtered out again. And there's only a few names here who I think should be taking those spots, right? So Counter-Strike, the landscape's definitely changed to who we have in the deeper portions of the major so far. And I'm hoping that normality is restored. We're always going to have one team, one upset team in there.
Yeah. I mean, Tyloo could be it. Vega, I feel like Tyloo and Vega are the two biggest, like with the biggest upset potential for sure.
Are
Well,
we
if you-
I'm not totally opposed to Tyloo. It's just like I would have probably picked Vega over them.
Is it going to be another Shark Week that we're missing?
I
out
think
on?
it was. I think it's just like it. We've just seen it too many times for it not to happen again.
Well, look, if it is, we're all going to blame Banks.
The only
So,
thing
like,
I'm
he's
scared
like the
of,
host, not the expert, so we're all like gonna.
only thing I'm scared of in
Fans.
this whole world is sharks. So
Really?
I mean,
You being
he
from
is
Australia,
so
where they actually are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck
that's
that.
legit.
I'm fucking scared of most things you would find in Australia. Spiders, snakes. Fuck them.
Spiders, especially, yeah. Remember the spider in London, though?
Fucking hell, no! Don't remind me, dude.
That was insane.
Okay.
That was insane.
What do-
Let's
what do you
just
guys
keep
make of
people
this,
wondering.
The viewer pass thing that came out, the change to that as well.
Huh?
The viewer pass that comes in.
What about it?
What do you think of that? That's a different way of doing it. I like that.
I'm not
I saw a
sure.
lot of
How the
people
fuck can I show?
complaining and flaming about it, but
How can I
it's a
show
good
it?
thing. Have you bought it already? Yeah.
Yeah.
must
I
be,
mean,
you have to
done
do it
that.
for the pick'ems. If
yeah,
not,
you
then
have to
it's
do it
really
for the
good.
pick'ems. How to play? What is that? Nope. Trying to figure out pick'em group stage matches. Nope. Because like when I bought it, it showed me like the progression, whatever that I had, but I
Yeah.
don't know how to go back to that. Is it in inventory? I guess it might be. By the way, fucking 10-year veteran coin. Look at that.
Beautiful.
It should include. It should go further up now from the old
Haritsa
days.
coin, view coin. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Literally
this is what I
boasting
saw.
here.
Huh?
You're literally boasting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Because
see,
I haven't really.
a lot of
I
people
haven't even looked
complain.
at it much. Just
If
to
we
see.
don't get diamond, and someone like Don Hatzi does, I'll feel very bad.
There's
so-
a diamond thing now. The fuck?
Yeah, it
I don't
goes up
even
to
know how it
diamond
works
now.
now. Okay. Does it just brown, silver, gold, diamond?
But you have to watch the matches on your account as well.
Oh fuck.
Just want to
Oh,
let
you can
everyone
do it
know.
From the press room, so. no
Yeah.
problem.
I really love Counter Strike, and I watch it every single day of my life. But I've never done a pick'em ever. Nope. I don't
Damn.
buy anything in the game. I don't do any of that stuff.
Have any skins?
Nothing.
No, but no, I don't buy anything anymore.
Not
There ain't
anymore.
No, like I used to, like when I was playing. I haven't
Oh,
done
okay.
a single. I never did any of that shit. I used to buy the coins that came out for the operations, but that was just to
Right.
support the game, not really for.
I didn't buy anything in the game for like 3 years or something. I didn't do the pick'ems since, I don't know, Cologne 2015 or something.
When Renegades took on Titan, I think that one was.
Fuck. How did I end up on
Long
that
time
one?
ago.
Can I filter the? I don't even remember what I did. How the fuck do I do filter? I haven't seen.
No one cares about that.
Or
No,
in
no,
the
I'm just-
game,
I'm just
Striker, can you
curious.
go to the majors of the past?
Tournaments, I guess.
Yeah,
we
head
go.
there, head there. Now, what I want you to go to once you're up there is pick ES1 Cologne 2015,
So in 2015, yeah.
and then you need to go to group stage games.
Gregor is
know
so
where this is going.
unsuspecting.
I
of
know
this.
what,
We
I
know
know
where
what's
this
gonna
is
happen
going.
now. Group stage games, right?
Yeah,
Day
yeah,
one,
yeah.
day two.
I don't remember. It was a couple of years ago now.
Titan. Are you talking about Titan? or what is it?
Renegades versus Titan should be
It
there
has to be
somewhere.
Dead Show.
It was on Mirage.
Oh, there it is. There we go.
All right, so all the viewers, just go watch that game. Really take it
Sponge and
in.
Maniac top fragging.
Yeah.
That's why you guys retired, like.
Well, because
what
we
happened?
have really good input, so that's why we
Yeah.
retired. So we
So
could
for
give out really
people who haven't watched Sponge talking about this for the past 3 years,
This is the game.
this is
the game
exactly
where
the game that he's
Sponge
talking about.
was like flying out top mid with an AK, headshotting the guy on short, headshotting the guy in connector, just giving no fucks.
We've all
Destroying
heard the
Kenny
story.
S with just like one tapping him. He's with top, holding the angle in window, one tap, like one tap.
Thank you for
Easy.
humoring me in that regard. I appreciate it.
It was a pretty memorable. I literally remember some things from that game.
I don't.
And then I bought a Sponge
I only
sticker, and that's
remember
the
what
last
I've
thing I
heard from
bought
Sponge
in-game.
over the past like 20 broadcasts. Whenever he mentioned it.
Dad, can we
And
do,
this was also
can we
the
do
last
another
time,
show at some point where we just sit down and watch this?
Yeah,
and we
100%.
just I sit with you and just you can go through the emotions,
POV,
see what
POV
it, yeah,
analysis.
just
with
literally
Sponge.
just follow Chad throughout the game.
We can do it at the major,
Relive
like a
the
live
moment
show.
again in epic format.
Like a throwback Thursday. That's whatever. It's 4
After
days
the
from
major,
now.
Chad, we're doing that. That's gonna happen.
Lock it in.
Fucking hell.
Let's go.
This is also the last time Australian team made top 16 of a major.
That's most important, and that is just so everyone's aware. The Challenger stage used to be known as the Major Qualifier, and at the Major Qualifier back in 2015, we beat Natu's team of Finns, which also had Alu in it, and an MSL team, a Danish team. So y'all can get fucked. We were already beating the European teams 3 years ago.
Yeah, but you
4
left
years
and then
ago.
you destroyed your own scene, mate. Why'd you do it? Why'd you undo all the greatness?
I don't know, but I got pizza to eat.
Shit.
That's all it matters about. He's always
Okay.
eating during these shows now. All right, so
Do we
we've had
have
our,
any-
we've had our pick'ems.
Do we have any viewer questions?
Yeah. Did we get any questions from Twitter in the end, guys? You guys?
Probably
No, we
not.
didn't do the Twitter thing.
No, well, we kind of did, but
I thought you did. It
What?
did say on the tweet.
yeah, we had it in the tweet. I
Yeah.
just closed.
Okay.
Professor, are
Alright.
you
So
even
you can
doing?
just
You
sift
work
through
for
that.
HLTV. Do your job properly? God damn it! Always you.
I am lazy as fuck.
Yes. There we go. At least you admit it. Truth comes out.
How does the elo system of a major actually works? Dude, read it.
Yeah, they're about to say that's all out.
I mean, there are no
covered.
like details exactly how much elo you have or how much
Oh
you
yeah.
lose.
I
but
mean,
it's
I
just
saw.
like,
Okay, just as a person who actually saw the system and SpongeUp, I'm pretty sure he can help me out a little bit. It just basically works that just to explain how it works in the basics is that whenever you beat somebody, especially if you're like a lower ranked team, if you actually upset someone, your rank goes up and vice versa. So if you lose to an upset team, if say whatever Fnatic loses to Vici, Fnatic's rank is probably going to go to somewhere like 4th for the next round, while Vici is going to go up to maybe like a 12th. So it's probably still going to put them as the lowest of that, like the second round of the 1-0 pool, but they're going to be a little bit higher. So maybe if 2 upsets happen, they're not going to get the worst team and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it works. Their rank just adjusts based on who they beat, who they lost to.
this is a good question from Rusty James 5, who says, thoughts on Windigo being on sale via Reddit, of course, and players open to offers from other teams. I did a retweet, kind of sarcastic retweet from Ships, who said like, oh, we're losing, I don't know why. And literally for the past 5 days, all I've been seeing is like Windigo on sale.
Gang, I gotta go. I'm very sorry to interrupt this. We have an emergency here in the virtual household.
Go.
By
We
chance.
have a.
I think it means
That's
that
done
pizza has
impressive.
just come. I think
Well,
pizza has
it's the three
arrived,
of us.
and that's about the emergency.
But
He's
yeah.
also got to get ready to travel tomorrow. Let's be
Oh,
honest.
that's fair enough.
Major
Just
talent,
finishing about the Windigo guys. It's literally everyone is searching for new opportunities, saying like, "Oh, I'm free agent now. I can do whatever I want." And then they're surprised that their team results aren't really good. Just shocked, baffled by that. Like everyone's looking
What?
for other options, but
I
Like,
like
what the
them
hell
in Pro
happened?
League, man. They looked good in
great as a
Pro
team.
League.
What the hell happened in there, dude? I have no idea.
Yeah, that's
I
like an implosion.
obviously the Windigo organization doesn't want to keep them for some reason.
Well-
Maybe the guy who used to run Hellraisers isn't the best CEO. I don't know. Who knows?
I mean, if you're selling an organization on Reddit, maybe that's
Not the ideal.
indicative of your skills as a CEO.
But no, actually, the best part of this whole story is after that he quote retweets, like the CEO of Windigo quote retweets the Windigo Twitter and says, "If this tweet gets 5,000 favorites, I will put up a blog about why I'm selling the team."
But
And it had like 5 favorites.
Right. Right. So no one cared. Correct. Just
well,
correct.
that's a fail right there.
So
That's
I
Trying to
don't
use
know.
Twitter to his advantage, fails miserably at it. There you go.
Windigo life. Feels bad
the
though.
other-
Decent team now with Poison coming in. I did like mention him when we had that episode like 10 episodes ago as one of the upcoming talents. He proved to be a good
I
player.
liked him in Pro League. What we saw from them in Pro League, they had some nice results. Okay, it's online, but it was a good grind. I thought, okay, this is all right. Some good potential, but it kind of came to it. People saying about major talent as well, too fewer casters. To be fair, I'm not too bothered about the major talent announcement as it was, because I feel like ESL's had enough to change going into this major. They've had a lot of positives brought in. I'm sure
100%.
something will happen, right? I don't see it staying as it is of what's been announced. I'm sure something else will come up or something else will be seen. This is still going to be the best major to date, and maybe they want to add another tip.
Kind
But
of weird
I
that
don't know.
that they didn't even bring in like some extra guys fast, but maybe Andrews shows up for the playoffs or something. Maybe they do something like that. I have no idea, but I would expect
Yeah.
at least like two Harry. Or
Aaron
whatever,
Hugo.
Hugo.
I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll bring back like a TriCast or something for
That'd be
the
cool.
final or something, because we saw that at the start quite normally, like back to Cologne 14, I want to say. We had like those TriCasts for the major
Yeah.
finals, and that has like since kind of gone away. So I feel like, I mean, it's not a massive thing. I just feel like it would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
As
it
a
did
top
work
one
well with the,
HLTV
like-
ranks. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it was
Moses.
similar. Usually, it was similar Anders and Moses, right?
Moses.
So that was
Yeah,
kind
that
of
was a
like
pretty good one.
that was an established TriCast for
There was
major
also
finals.
some with like, wasn't there one with Sean Garrett
So-
being the third?
Well, Columbus was with Threat, wasn't it? Or was that not in the final? It was
no
James?
idea.
It was James and DDK and Threat, but I'm not entirely sure if it was just some playoffs.
I think
Or
it wasn't the final. I think it was a playoff match.
yeah, okay, fair enough. Could be.
Yeah.
We don't know
We
what
shall-
like people saying commentators get like tired and stuff like that. I don't know. But I think it'll be alright. I think it will always work its way out. I can't see there being anything too bad coming off the back of it. I think it's going to be an epic major.
The thing is, like, people, like, obviously ESL have been like a big meme for a long time just because of what would happen in like 20 whatever in the first few years of Counter-Strike. But I mean, obviously since then they've just like for the past say 2 years, I don't remember an ESL event that went to shit, right? They just
We
do
went flawless.
they just have a very high standard, right? And that's not something that a lot of tournament organizers do have. They just have a high standard of
I mean,
of quality.
let's say, like in 2017, they had like early tournament issues all the time. Like first 2 days of the group stage are like issues with the stream, cables being stolen.
Oh yeah, there was
from
some issues with that.
whatever.
I think
In
that was
New
done to the
York, that was-
Facebook. That was the Facebook stream.
Yeah.
I feel like though that was a lot
there
of it
were-
was.
there
was
were
done
like
to
other
Facebook.
things as well, but nowadays they're like pretty smooth from the start.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's
other
just-
than that, I don't know. There's also the Swole Patrol qualifying over like 5 real teams for IM Sydney.
Yeah, but aren't Swole Patrol like I took Swole Patrol as being like the meme team, but aren't they now a real team?
I mean,
Yeah.
now they're the worst they've ever been. Like back when they had like Freakazoid and those guys, then it was at least like they're grinding and whatever.
Fuck, I forgot he went. That's how
But
much
now
I
they
pay
have
attention
like
to
a,
NACS.
it's kind of like a mix. I don't think they're even like set on their roster. Maybe they are, but
Because the thing is, they played with Sam, and he's the one who carried them to the win.
Yeah, and Sam
to,
is still,
to
I
Sydney,
think,
basically.
Looks good.
Tom is contracted to Complexity as a streamer still, and they finished
is he?
above
Okay.
Complexity, above United, above Ghost. Ghost had some issues because James IRL was playing instead of someone for a bit. Yeah, so they beat literally all of these like tier 2 NA teams and qualified with Sam, Swag, Vanity, Marquee, and Food. So it's only Swag and Marquee from that Swole Patrol lineup that went to Epicenter.
Oh, I think that brings us to the end, boys. I'm going to have one little Chad rant as Chad's not here because
There we go.
after we have people constantly from the community that sit there and go, oh, well, this person didn't get hired, this person didn't get hired, and I want to see them. That shit, and then tweeting at the people that did get hired and giving them abuse is fucking idiotic. You should never do that. It's not their fault. They get offered the job, they take a job. Who wouldn't take a job at the major? The people, if you really want to see other people get hired, speak to the organisers, tweet at them and say, hey, I'd quite like to have seen these people. Why is this? That's the people you should be going to. The actual talent, we're all friends. We all get hired for different events. We don't always get to work with each other. That's just kind of how it works. But the worst thing you can do is, like, especially I saw it on Vince's one, right, when Vince got announced. People were literally just slating him. And, okay, yes, he did say he was going to retire, but he was in a bad place or whatever. He comes back into it. It's one of those things, right? There's a lot of politics that go on behind the scenes in it. But the last thing you need to be doing is giving someone a shit. He's actually a good commentator. He's more than capable of doing a major. The people you should be aiming your frustration at should be the organisers on why the talent you wanted not getting picked. That's how it works. Don't throw abuse at the talent who are just trying to do their goddamn jobs.
Also, take into consideration certain politics in place. Not
Yeah.
saying anything, but I mean, from an outsider's perspective, obviously James and DDK are like that's a part of the reason why they're not there. I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. There's
So
plenty of
there's a lot
politics.
of things to consider. I have to agree. Like this major talent lineup could have been a little bit improved. Like there could have been more people at least. I felt like
But
because we
yeah,
have
something
two
that
duos, right?
I think Carmack said on Twitter is that
Yeah.
they're going to be mixing up the talent. So I don't think it's going to be only casters casting. It's going to be probably a mix up. Maybe Sponge comes and casts.
Chad can
something.
commentate as well, but they had it
Yeah.
style out of him and Stunner. It was a lot of fun. It was
Yeah,
something different.
Stana also likes to commentate. So maybe you see like a mix up of these guys also coming to be the color caster and stuff like that. At least for
Yeah.
the group stage games.
I think ESL have done a lot right of changes that have all been positive so far. This will be a new viewer experience. Maybe like Chad was saying, right, we get something where we have a bit more of a longer pre-show or post-show or something comes into it where we get a bit more analysis for you viewers to have a better storyline. Because we've got to remember as well, especially when it comes to the major, it's not just the hardcore viewers of CSGO that are watching it, like us idiots who sit here and we're like, watch every single damn event going on. There are people who will literally just watch the majors and that's it. So it's also trying to give them something at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're done, boys. That's episode 6. underway. Prof, I don't think I've
When
used
are
you too much.
when are we gonna be seeing each
Oh,
other? via
I
this
have no
beautiful
idea. I
screen?
need to update the schedule on events I'm doing so that
Oh,
we can
yeah.
Just give me
we can go through all
give me a
this.
second. I'll try to see the. Oh, where's my calendar? Ah, here it is. I'll see when we have it scheduled roughly.
For the 15th.
Just so we. 15th.
Oh, and the 18th. I'm sorry. No. You were looking at January. 18th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
18th it is then. 18th
Well, basically
is
between
Monday,
before the
that's-
second stage, and
Yeah.
between the
So
first and
that's-
second stages of the major.
That is when it should be. When am I flying actually? Let's see. Coming in. Yeah, I'm flying the 19th, so I can do the 18th, I guess. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, potentially on
So
the
next-
18th.
next
We'll
show
come
in a
back
week
and
and
confirm
a
with
bit.
you guys. We will see you for episode 7, and hopefully in about 8-9 days we'll work it all out. Thank you for tuning in to HLTV Confirm. Make sure you drop that follow. Make sure you bet responsibly. Make sure you're over 18. If you are betting, don't spend money you can't spend, and come back and enjoy and see what else we've got to unfold for you on the next HLTV Confirmed. See you later.